Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition of the HomeStory Cup 26 Group Stage Replay Cast. I'm, of course, ShoWTime VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all. Last night, we were live, of course, with Group A of HomeStory Cup, and now we're here with Group B. Oh boy. And also, of course, once again, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, everyone. Happy New Year's. I know. Now we're in day 2, you know, 2nd of January, but I think still the 1st in a couple of areas of the world. So regardless, you know, Happy New Year nonetheless, as we do dive into some matches that were otherwise uncasted. For those that are curious what this broadcast even is, hold up, wasn't HomeStory Cup a month ago? Weren't you live with it at the time? That is all true. HomeStory Cup was at the beginning of December of technically last year, and we were the official B stream. At the time, there was the main stream, there was the B stream. We were live, main stream was live, we're casting, of course, covering all the matches, at least all that we could, but something that was happening at the time was that we only had 2 English streams, and in the group stage, there were 3 matches happening at the same time. So the way that math works out, basically a third of the group stage was not casted. A third of the group stage was just not broadcast, at least in English. I'm sure some of the other language streams would maybe jump on them here or there to cover some of those matches, if they were following certain players, for sure. But at least in English, those matches were not broadcasted. So after the fact, I did want to take the initiative to actually go in and cover those matches here on the channel to make sure that at least I got some kind of coverage. And so far I'm pretty happy. Well, I'm very happy, very satisfied with that decision, because last night we had some crazy games. We had some crazy games, some very close, very intense matches featuring mainly Battle B, also other players as well. Battle B up against Skillus, up against Nightmare, up against Lambo as well. We had some amazing matches, and I was very impressed with Battle B's performance. And again, I would have otherwise not have seen those matches if we didn't cover the replays, and we are looking to do the same here with Group B. With Group B and with Group C, we won't be going as in-depth into Group D, just because at the time, Group D's matches were actually short, so they were actually very fast games in Group D. And what that meant was that as we were wrapping up our matches that we were designated, we had the freedom to jump into the otherwise uncasted matches at the time in Group D. So we actually casted like double the amount. we did a lot more casting for Group D than we were supposed to, just because the games are fast. So with that, we got a little bit lucky. So we actually casted most of Group D live at the time, but A, B, and C less so. And now we can have a look at, we can switch the scenes over and have a look at the matches coming up ahead of us. Let's go. Let us go. And here we go. Tonight we have 5 best of 3s here. We have Maru versus Moja in a TBT. We got ShoWTime versus Geralt in a PvP. ShoWTime versus Moja, Spirit versus Kelazur, and Serral versus Jumi. 5 best of 3s are ahead of us. We're gonna be going through and diving into each and every one of them here. And honestly, I'm excited. I'm always excited to cast some Moja. Moja, he is a player that actually debuted in HomeStory Cup 25, or I mean, quote-unquote debuted. Moja has been around, a competitor in the European region for a long time on the ladder, I should say, but Moja rarely played in any online events or any tournaments in general, and Moja dipped his toes last year during HomeStory Cup 25 in the competitive field for the first time, and he did very well. You know, it was a really strong debut for him. He got a lot of fans, myself included. We were all very impressed, and ever since then, you know, once you get a taste of that competitive field, you want more, you crave for more, and Moja has been more active in these online tournaments. So it's been great to see Moja kind of have that competitive flair in him sparked, and now he's back for the next HomeStory Cup. Let's go again. Typically, HomeStory Cup, they do try to feature local talent as best they can, you know, with players like Battlebee, like Moja. Of course, they're heavy hitters like your ShoWTimes, your Hero Marines as well, your Lambos, of course. But even some of the other, you know, kind of tier below players. Jimmy as well is among them. But we are here to broadcast them and bring you their matches. Let's go. So we do have quite a number of mirror matchups and not a lot of Zerg matchups here. But of course, we're going to be featuring Serral at the end of the broadcast. And this is not the only broadcast we have tonight, or we have today. In 12 hours time, Jesus, in 12 hours time, we're going to be live once again with the Little League Cup qualifiers. We did go into it last night, but there is another big major event happening in January, not just Masters Coliseum, which is over the weekend, but during the weekday we have Lulu Cup, which I believe has a 7,000 USD prize pool, so a pretty hefty prize pool for an online tournament, and the qualifiers did begin over the weekend. We weren't able to cast the Asia qualifiers, but we will be casting the global qualifier and the Europe/Americas qualifier as well. So that qualifier is going to be in 12 hours, so we have 2 casts today, and I'll most likely try to nap in between. I say most likely, I also want to ladder a little bit, I also want to stream, I should say, so depending on how fast this broadcast is, I might hop on over to my own personal channel and we'll have a cheeky ladder session and enjoy some, or we'll smudge with some StarCraft, then I'll go to bed, I'll sleep the smudge away, then bam, we can cast again. That's the plan. That is the plan. For now, though, we have our first matchup, our first PvT. Let us go. It's catching up in the chat. Bets on no bets. No bets. No gamba. I apologize. If you're here for the gamba, you're not going to get it. Not going to get the gamba. Oh. Here we go. Catching up. Happy New Year. Yes. The games are fast, and so are you, light. Excuse me. What were you trying to say, Einstein? Oh my god. As we're getting into our first series of the night, or of the day, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the German Terran player. We have the Red Terran. It is the up-and-comer himself, Moja. And going for a proxy. Hello, and spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, one of the heavy hitters in this group, representing Team Vitality. It is Maru. Well, hello. So the proxy has been thrown down. Moja sending out not just one SCV, but a second SCV as well. So it looks like proxy 2x Reaper, and actually it's quite far away here. So if we were seeing proxy 2x Reaper, typically it's going to be closer to the cliff face coming into the main. So this may be proxy Marauder instead. Again, proxy Marauder has kind of risen in popularity over the past year of play. We'll see if we throw down Tech Labs and get into Marauder production and commit into the all-in. Oh boy. Starting things off spicy, pappy, spicy. Institutions live and this is between 1/3, 2/3. So good idea to show this out now. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Just to reiterate, and I mean, it makes sense, we will not be casting, well, obviously we're not going to be recasting the games that we casted live at the time. Also, we're not going to be casting the games that were broadcasted on the main stream, so we're specifically targeting the matches that were not broadcasted. And there it is, Proxy Marauder. The Tech Labs have been thrown down, and the Marauders are going to be on the way. We're going to be pulling a couple of SCVs, or we'll have these SCVs help support as well, and it's going to be all or nothing for Moja. Now, Maru, he does SCV scout. He confirms the Rax is missing. He confirms the one gas opener. He confirms there is no expansion either. So Maru, he's aware that something is wrong, and back at home, bunkers. Now, bearing in mind, there's a bunker at the ramp. There's also a second bunker here at the Reaper Cliff. So Maru, he is getting ready for a Reaper defense. Likewise, he's checking the natural base, looking for any kind of setup. Factories on the way. Getting into helium production, of course. So Maru, he's aware that something is wrong, something is amiss. He's preparing for any kind of defense. And these are resources that are otherwise not going to be necessary. Oh, does he spot the Marauder? Oh, he may have just caught a glimpse, and now he knows for certain. There we go, he's in position. Ideally, Moja wanted to catch the Reaper out in the open. Concussive Shell is done. If he got one shot off on that Reaper, the Reaper would have gone down. But quick moves out of Maru, he does pull away in time. And Moja, he abandons his proxy back at home, CC on location. And he's racing back. He's racing back home here. He has recognized that he cannot break his opponent. Maru, he is very well fortified, very well set up. Maru's got his own CC on the way, and the game will continue from here. How many Marauders are built? Just one. Just one proxy Marauder. Wait, Concussive Shell was cancelled. My apologies. So there was a cancellation. Basically, if Maru didn't SCV scout, and it is not unheard of to skip SCV scouts, especially amongst the Korean Terran players, so it is not uncommon whatsoever, but Maru did scout. Because he scouted Moja, he's already racing back home, already transitioning. And this wasn't the biggest commitment, especially because there was a cancellation on the upgrade and because it was only a single Marauder being built. Likewise, Maru was forced to respond as well. He was forced to delay his own CC, forced into all these bunkers, into his own inefficient start. That is a very fast third CC though, and this makes sense. Maru, he knows that he's behind, or he is behind where he would like to be, I should say, as his CC was delayed, so he's rushing to a third base, cutting corners, being greedy. So a very fast third CC here from Maru. Gonna try to catch back up economically. Meanwhile, across the map, Moja getting into a 2-1-1 setup, playing very safe, getting into Cyclone production. With this, he's going to be secure against any kind of Banshee play, any kind of Banshee harass. Likewise, drop play as well. So Moja is being secure, and Maru, he's settling in. Getting into his own tank production, his own Raven production as well. Something that we did feature here during HomeStory Cup was Maru versus Ryung in a TVT, and that TVT is going to live rent-free in my brain for years to come. If you missed out on the VODs, everything's on YouTube. It's all on YouTube, so I do recommend watching Maru versus Ryung, especially the game on Ultra Love. It was crazy. And speaking of Ultra Love, we could be here for quite some time. I was looking forward to potentially a shorter game one with the proxy, but as we get further and further into Ultra Love is known for how defensive it is. It is very defendable, very fortifiable. You have these choke points coming into the third, coming into the fourth. Likewise, you have a very defendable position here at the fifth base as well. It is very common to cut the map in half. Just completely cut the map in half. It isn't just these base locations, but here as well we have all these points of elevation, choke points, ramps, these narrow bridges as well. It is so difficult to actually get past the halfway mark on this map, especially in TVT. And I was alluding to it, we saw a lot of TVTs at HomeStory Cup. I mean, that was the meme at the time. If you were here a month ago, you would remember, you know, that the introduction to the hashtag Terran patch and the non-stop TVTs at HomeStory Cup with Gumiho, with Clem, with Maru, with Ryung. And there were some good matches though, is what I will say, especially on this map. And I am potentially alluding to that happening here as well. Might be in for a long one. We'll see. Of course, with Maru rushing into the third CC, we're going to be embracing the economy. We're going to be slowing things down, getting to our three bases, potentially a fourth base from there. There's no major sign of aggression yet from Maru. Meanwhile, across map, Moja likewise is throwing down extra racks, so no mech. That's the first big sign that we should emphasize here. No mech from either player. Thankfully, bio tank. It's going to be bio tank from Maru and bio tank from Moja as well. Getting into stim, getting into combat shields. As the Cyclone is going to be hunted down. And Maru is now establishing his third. Checking the vision here, I believe Moja did not scan. Yeah, there was no scan. Moja has no idea what's going on. The problem here for Moja is that he doesn't know how greedy Maru has been. And if he was aware, he would be much more assertive, much more aggressive. He'd be in the face to delay the third base for as long as possible. Moja is in the dark. Now going to be landing his own third. Alas, Maru has taken a worker lead. I mean, Moja wasn't too far behind with his own third base timing. And we're just gearing up on three bases. And we'll see who's going to be the aggressor initially. Checking the army composition, both players are on 3 Ravens. Moja has a slight tank lead over his opponent. Maru is going to be the first to move out. And of course, there's a lot of power here in these Ravens. Interference Matrix has been researched. And even if you have a tank lead, that may not matter with these Ravens. And Maru scans ahead of time, does spot the tanks. There's 2 of them. And here comes the disable. He gets 1. Clutch on siege out of Moja. Doesn't siege in time, does pull away at all. But there's a second disable. Auto charges get thrown down, and Maru, he breaks through. Oh, I say that. Nice auto charge response here out of Moja. He does save one of his tanks. But Maru, he just ignores the tank line, goes straight for the middle line. SVs are going down. There's another auto turret. And Maru, he is breaking Moja here and now. A very decisive move out. And again, the power of the Raven. Doesn't matter if you have a tank line in TVT. GG gets called, and Maru, he takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played again. Very decisive play there out of Maru. We were alluding to how defendable and how you can cut the map in half. That is true. I stand by that. But, you know, that is why Ravens are so critical and so pivotal in the early game of TVT. As you can break through those siege lines, you can try to abuse, you know, that Raven advantage, that positional play, of course. And Maru did find a way through. Unfortunately, we saw that Moja, he was caught with his pants down a little bit. If you remember, despite having 2 tanks, only one of them was sieged, the other was caught out in the open, and it made for a bit of an awkward defense there. And Maru did break through. GG. GG, well played. Maru does take a lead in the series, and now we are getting ready for game number 2. It's going to be on ley lines. And I'm curious to see how our player is going to approach this. Remember, Moja did attempt a proxy in game 1, but he got scouted, or I should say Maru played safe after scouting. So we'll see if he tries to proxy again. We'll see if Maru attempts a proxy instead. I mean, it's TVT, it's Maru, anything is possible. Here we go, we're getting into game 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the German Terran player. We have the red Terran down in the series, but we'll see if he can bounce back. See what he has in store for us. It is Moja from Germany. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player representing Team Vitality from land of South Korea at HomeStory Cup for the first time. It is Maru. Here we go. Just catching up in the chat. Who were qualified for the Asia qualifier for the $7,000 online tournament? The qualified players, if I remember correctly, was Shin, Solar, and there was a third player. Shin, Solar, and Gumiho. So 2 Zerg players and a Terran player. He's referring to the Lulu Cup. So that was Shin, Solar, so 2 Zergs and a Terran so far. That was the Asia qualifier. That was on, I believe that was on Christmas Eve. No, sorry, that was on New Year's Eve, I think. New Year's Eve, or maybe the 30th of December. Tonight is the European/Americas qualifier, and I believe tomorrow is the global qualifier. So 3 qualifiers, as a heads up. Here we go. OSC Championship is something different, correct? Yes. We will be casting a little bit of OSC Championship. Typically, when it comes to the OSC events, Wardy has priority. Just as a heads up. Oh, as we're settling in. Double gas opener at a Moja and a single gas at a Maru. What does that mean? Faster expansion. So Maru, he does take the faster CC, so he will have an economic start. Meanwhile, Moja will have the faster factory, and I'm sure that's why he threw down the spray with the scout. So Moja is going to be a little bit more assertive here. Not all in. He's going for a later CC, a later expansion, as we settle into game number 2. Let's go. Maru pulling one of his SCVs. The purpose here is for this SCV to tank a shot to allow him to win a trade with a Reaper versus Reaper in a Reaper versus Reaper battle. Oh, speaking of, so far so good. Again, the SCV does zone the Reaper away. CC gets delayed, and Maru, he gets what he wanted. Both players lose 1 worker, but Moja, his CC is going to be delayed that much more. So a better trade for Maru. He gets the hell out of here. He races back home. A nice little start here for our blue Terran. But yeah, what I was getting at for the OC Championship is typically there's there's kind of like a hierarchy of priority. Usually Wardy, he's going to be covering it. If there's ever a day that Wardy isn't available, that's where some of the other casters can step in, like ourselves or Chicken Man or Dave Testa or Steadfast, for example. Currently, I believe we are going to be casting one of the qualifiers for the OSC Championships. I believe we're going to be covering Bracket D. It's going to be next week. Next week, we're going to be covering Bracket D. When it comes to the main event itself, I don't know if we're going to be casting any of it. It's a little bit too soon to tell, but I would say at least it's a safe assumption to go over to Wardy's channel for the main event, for the main OSC event. We might end up casting like one of the early days, but for now, only Group D, or sorry, Bracket D. Referring to the OSC Championship. Better get some sleep soon. Buenas noches, buenas noches. Lily, yeah, Lily. Oh good, oh good. Yeah, oh, the StarCraft. I mean, it's fine. It was the early. It's like the early game of TVT, so nothing crazy was happening outside of the initial delay on the command center, outside of the economic start of Maru. That's why Maru has a slight economic lead. You can see 34 SCVs to 30 workers of his opponent. It may not look like a lot, but in a mirror matchup, when you have the same tools as your opponent, it is a pretty substantial advantage from Maru, and the pressure is on Moja to get some economic damage done. Meanwhile, behind this, 3rd CC. Fast 3rd CC once again out of Maru. We saw something similar last game, where he was able, I mean, last game was different, to rush into a faster 3rd base. Once again, 3rd CC here for Maru. And we'll see if Moja throws down extra Raxes or throws down his own 3rd as well, as we are settling in. Building up Ravens, working towards interference matrix. Likewise, Raven production from Moja as well. 3rd base has been thrown down. It is a little bit later compared to the 3rd base of Maru, but not by too much. So both players are expanding, both players once again building up towards that mid game. But we saw how decisive Maru could be here coming into the mid game. And again, if you leave an opening, if you leave yourself vulnerable, then Maru, he will abuse that, he will find that, and he will take advantage of that. So again, the pressure is on Moja. Pressure's on Maju. God. It's okay, the names are different enough where I haven't mixed them up yet. Not like this. Yo, it's too early for this back. It's as both players are settling in. Once again, Biotank. Thankfully, no second factory, no investment into mech. Both players are working in similar directions. Building up their respective armies. Yeah, we like SC2 questions around here. Yeah. We're here for the StarCraft. Always, always. As Maru's getting his 3rd base. Moja's is still in production. So again, Maju maintains... Sorry, Maju. God damn it. No. So Maru, he maintains that economic advantage. And with that, that's going to lead into a slightly larger army. I jinxed myself earlier, Pappy. No, not like this. Not like this. I'm gonna drink some water. I need to hydrate. Aye. Oh, these Terran players are all the same. As Mo just settling in. Ooh, we do see Maru's gonna be the first to move out. Once again, does move out. He's got his 3 Ravens ready. This time we do see Moja is pre-sieged. He's set up here behind his 3rd. Army gets spotted. Thankfully, Moja did have some spotted Reapers even. Does respond, does rotate. Moja, he's keeping up. Maru scans ahead of time, spots the main army. He rotates as well. Moja moves out of Marine. Does spot Maru. So once again, it's all about that positional play. Moja trying to keep up. He scans, spots the army, does siege in time. Maru stems in, does go for the stem, disables a connect, massive anti-armor missile as well. Oh, and Maru, does he have enough to break through? Can he get on top of the tanks? Barely not. There's a 4th tank behind this. Moja, he holds. Very tense engagement. Again, there was a lot of positional play, a lot of back and forth scanning and rechecking. Moja does hold in time. Despite the triple disables, there was still a 4th tank behind all of that, and Moja does not lose a single tank. Oh no! He gets caught out. Does get caught out. Oh, we have the counter disables. Yeah, Moja takes the fight. He does catch both tanks. Very nicely done. Moja catching out Maru instead. Without Maru, he has to race back, pulling back here to the high ground, to the ramp. Moja, I believe, still has energy to work with on those Ravens. Maru still being active, playing with fire. Yeah, those Ravens are barely alive, but important that they are still kicking. They can still impact the next fight. And behind this, Maru takes a 4th. 4 CCs on the way. Maru rotating. Moja is enjoying a tank lead. And he does spot the drop. Oh, is a little bit late to respond. It was a little bit out of position. Maru, he dives into the mineral line. And is going to get a handful of SCVs. Ooh, medevac goes down. But he gets 4 workers. Not bad. Moja backing off. Both armies scanning, looking for each other. Maru dropping back into the natural. Moja, he pulled away. Maru trying to get more CVs. Yeah, he can now trade the Marines. Takes down the depots. Nice pickups. Yeah, 2 depots. The gas geyser as well. And again, Maru, he has medevacs. Medevacs, they were late for Moja. Maru, he picks up, gets the hell out of here. Gets 6 more CVs as well. Very nice trade. Moja gets supply blocked. The supply block is brutal. This one move here, the drop play of Maru, just pulling Moja apart, picking him off. And Maru's going to be the first to max out. He's up 40 supply. And Moja still supply blocked. Oh, God. He's throwing down more depots. There we go. Still supply blocked. Actually, finally trying to break out. And Maru, he's going to overwhelm. And again, honestly, the winning move here would be just that drop, sniping those depots, getting SCV kills, and disrupting the macro of Moja. As Maru, he sends in. No, the unsiege! Tanks, they unsiege. Maru, he breaks through. Here come the mass disables. Oh, disabling all 4 tanks here. Just 1 tank coming into play, gets started down. GG gets called, and Maru, he breaks through. He will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played, Maru. He will take it. An impressive performance there out of Maru, but a shout out to Moja, especially here in game 2. We had some nice moves out of him. Unfortunately, though, he was not able to keep up with the drop play of Maru. Again, so much about TVT is about not just positional play, but map awareness and map vision. Unfortunately, Moja, he didn't quite have anything in position to spot the medevacs and to spot the drop play. As a result, he was late to respond to it, and it did do quite a lot of damage. And that supply block was brutal. It did mean that Moja, he was stuck at 140 supply for minutes there, and that led into the eventual move out, the eventual push, led into the end of the game. Did lead into the end of the game. Regardless, GG, well played. Maru does start things off with a win here, and that is going to lead us into our next game. Up next, we have another mirror matchup, but featuring 2 very different players. We're going to be jumping into a PvP between ShoWTime and Geralt. Let's go. Let us go. We have ShoWTime versus Geralt coming up next. Again, Geralt, he has been improving so much over the past couple of years at this point. Has been rising the ranks in the European region, getting better and better over time. I would say that the hierarchy of Protoss players in Europe are still, you know, max skills in ShoWTime, but just beneath them you have players like Geralt, Christiana, Harstem as well. Like, they're all Mana even nowadays. She's like, the rise of Mana is something that I did not expect in 2024. like Mana as well has also been improving so much. Crazy rise in skill from Mana these past like 6 months, I would say. But Geralt, he's among them as well, and we'll see how he compares to ShoWTime. We shall see. As we are jumping into game number 1. Imagine your debut at bigger events as TVT versus Maru. As you mentioned, yes, Moja's debut was HomeStory Cup 25. Not to be confused with HomeStory Cup 26. But yeah, 25 was Moja's debut. But yeah, Moja has been like in the competitive field for less than a year. Less than a year. Crazy, crazy. As he's been mainly an online ladder hero for, I mean, most of his StarCraft career in a sense. But here we go, we're getting into our next game, we're getting into our next series, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the German Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Berlin International Gaming, BIG. It is ShoWTime. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Polish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing his new team, Streamer Zone. It is Geralt. We go. When is the 7K tournament happening? The qualifiers are this week, and I believe the main event starts next week. So it's all coming up. Should take place throughout the course of January. But yes, there were very few expectations for Moja in HomeStory Cup 25, and he got a lot of fans, myself included. He got a lot of fans at HomeStory Cup 25. It was great to see his debut be so successful, is what I will say. Very successful debut. But now we're settling into our PvP so far. Standard openers, 2-gate opener here out of Geralt, likewise 2-gate opener out of... Oh, never mind. My apologies. 2-gate opener out of Geralt, and we have a gate Cybercore out of ShoWTime doing his best Max Packs impression. Whew. Okay, bold move. Now, we are loading into Amygdala, and on the one hand, this is a bit of a longer rush distance by ground, so you can try to get away with this kind of thing on this map. The downside, of course, is that when it comes to PvP, it doesn't matter how large or how small the map is. I mean, proxies allow you to reinforce then and there in the face of your opponent, so it may not matter. As we do see, Geralt, he does scout with the probe, does confirm the economic build. And Geralt has a choice to make. Does he try to punish the greed, or does he play from behind? And based on the pylon, based on the pro placement, looks like Geralt is going to expand. Okay, he is setting up for an expansion. There it is. A Nexus has been placed. So we are looking to get into a more macro setting here. Geralt did have an option to 1-base all in, but has opted to avoid that. Both players are settling in, and we're calming things down. Refocusing that economy. ShoWTime going for the Stargate behind this, going into Oracle production. Meanwhile, we have the take-up choice from Geralt going for the Twilight Council into Blink. Here we go. And again, a big reason why you'd want to go for the Stargate follow-up is it's quite versatile. If you are being all-in, if ShoWTime does confirm that there is no expansion, and he's about to confirm that there is a Nexus, he can start a Void Ray production. The Void Rays have their place in this matchup, specifically as a defensive unit. The probe does confirm. ShoWTime is aware. So ShoWTime, he knows he's safe. He starts up a second Oracle as a result. 2 Oracles, they one-shot probes. So there's going to be a lot of harassment potential here for ShoWTime. As he moves out not just with the Oracle, but with the Adepts as well. Sorry, with the Stalker Zealot even. With his Gateway Army. Geralt, he does confirm. He does get eyes on this with the Zelnaga. Likewise, the main base, there is a shield battery as well. So Geralt, he is prepared for at least the first Oracle. Does deflect. ShoWTime backs off. He's waiting for the second Oracle. Again, a shield battery only protects you against 1, not against 2. And ShoWTime, his goal here is to try and distract his opponent. Ohian. Keeping ShoWTime's attention here at the natural. Oh, Geralt's, yeah, attention here at the natural. As ShoWTime is going to be diving. Geralt does commit. Geralt, he responds in time. ShoWTime is going to get a handful of probes. 2, 3, 4 workers going to be going down. Not bad. Geralt does attempt to target them down, but oh, very little defense here at the third or at the natural. 5 probe kills. Not bad. 5 workers go down. And Geralt, he's setting up for a proxy across the map. We have the pylon, we have the gateway. And now the pressure is on Geralt to counterattack. As Geralt, he's down in the economy, down in workers. Is setting up for 4-gate blink. He's got 3 gates back at home, 4th across the map. ShoWTime, he has not scouted. Ooh, and ShoWTime is going to be expanding. This is ideal for Geralt. ShoWTime investing in his economy. Geralt's warping in. Oh, as Geralt, he will catch the Oracle. Nice pickup. Oracle goes down. Geralt, he has yet to confirm the Nexus up. ShoWTime, he sees. He does spot the gateway. He knows. And ShoWTime is going to be able to shut this down. Before Geralt can actually make use of it. Yeah, the pylon falls. The proxy gets denied. And Geralt, he's coming in, but now he can't reinforce. Checking the army tab. Geralt still has a Stalker advantage. Oh, looks like there was a little bit of latency. Again, there were some connectivity issues at the time at HomeStory Cup. That may plague some of these games. ShoWTime pushing forward, zoning back Geralt. Geralt gets a supply block. He's just standing behind this. And ShoWTime, he can just try to keep pushing. Ooh, nice force fields though. Geralt, he does punish. Does punish the army. ShoWTime backs off, but both players taking up. ShoWTime is still enjoying a worker advantage. Getting to forge, upgrades. Geralt falling back, licking his wounds, building up, getting a third. And as we get into the mid game, I do give the edge here to ShoWTime. He's looking a little more comfortable. And the pressure is on Geralt. Now, coming into the mid game, something that Geralt does enjoy very much so in this matchup, and something that he's known for, is skipping Archon production. He'll skip Archons and go straight for a bait into Disruptors. And if he can get there, Geralt, I mean, he can kind of take a lead and catch back up. And speaking of, yep, there it is. There's the bait. Disruptors. So again, this is a very stylistic choice by Geralt, and not many others do this. I say that we do see at some point or another players like MaxPax or ShoWTime or some of these other top Protoss players make the decision to skip tech and rush into Disruptors like this, especially if they're behind. Geralt is the one that does it consistently every PvP. Like every single time rushing into Disruptors. It's very stylistic for Geralt. So he's on the way. Disruptor productions on the horizon, so even though Geralt, he might even be behind in the economy, behind in supply, Disruptors make up for that. It's a good way to recover. As the stasis goes off, catching out a couple of Stalkers. With that ShoWTime, he's going to be able to catch 3 Stalkers, not bad. Could have been worse, but we'll get those Stalkers. We see Geralt blinking in every direction. Let's go! Bleeds out 2. 1 will escape. I mean, that's better than none. Geralt, he gets the hell out of there. It's the quick moves out of Geralt. And the first Disruptor's on the way. There's a second Robo. ShoWTime going for a much more standard setup. With a mass gateway army of Charge Ults and Stalkers. No Temple Archives yet, no Archon production yet, but does have that supply lead. And Geralt is vulnerable. He is vulnerable until he builds up more Disruptors. So ShoWTime, he has a window here where he can punish Geralt. And a lot of this will come down to the Nova. ShoWTime pushing in. Ooh, does force a cancel with the gold. Oop. So far so good. Geralt, he keeps up. Zones away the army. Disruptor is revealed. ShoWTime knows. We have cannon, shield batteries on the way here for Geralt. Nova goes up. Disruptor is going to be targeted down. Nova connects. Does connect. Not a bad connection, but still just the one Nova. Second Disruptor has arrived. ShoWTime, he backs up. Okay, nice force fields from Geralt. Does create that choke point. Forcing ShoWTime back. Geralt is making 2 Disruptors at a time. Needs a little bit more time, though, to build up. Oh, the Disruptor. No, it's exposed. Oh, Disruptor goes down. Massive pickup. Geralt's out of position. No, like this. And ShoWTime. Can he kill Geralt? Can he go for the kill? Can he go for the throat? Head towards the natural. Going to be turned away. There's 1 Nova left. ShoWTime doesn't quite go for the dive. Not yet. He's tempted though. Moving in, zoning Geralt away. More Zealots have arrived. And ShoWTime, he has to make a decision here. He could throw down his own Bay and get into his own disruptors. But no, ShoWTime is committed. Just warping in more Zealots, getting into +2. Immortal production has begun. Just containing Geralt on 3 bases. Well, ShoWTime has a 4th. So again, poking in. Moves forward. And now backing up. Getting a 5th expansion. And Geralt, that disruptor count is getting higher and higher. He's got 4, soon to be 6 disruptors. And even though Geralt has been denied the 4th base for so long, he's finally expanding. He's finally expanding. He's still keeping up. ShoWTime going for a double-pronged attack. Hits the 3rd. Geralt out of position. And War Prism into the main. And dropping into the main base. There are some disruptors. ShoWTime going for the warp in. Oh no! Geralt, bit of miscontrol. 1, 2, 3 disruptors going to be going down. They just run into the army. Not like this. Not like this. As disruptors, they do get thrown away. Nova's going to be going off in the main. Geralt's still doing what he can. But again, his attention is being split apart. And that advantage that he once had, another disruptor goes down. There was potential. Oh, nice last second split. ShoWTime, he splits away. Probes are going down. There's only 1 disruptor with the main army. And it's not good enough. And ShoWTime is just pulling Geralt apart. GG gets called, and ShoWTime will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG will play it again. Geralt, he was otherwise distracted by the drop in the main, by his own control, of course, and losing all the disruptors was brutal. There was potential. There was potential for Geralt to bounce back for sure. But he couldn't keep up with ShoWTime. And with that, ShoWTime takes the lead. Does take lead in the series, and now we are getting into game number 2. As a reminder, these are all best of 3s, and the pressure is on Geralt to bounce back. As we're going to be loading into one of the older maps in the map pool. Going to be loading into Abyssal Reef. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have the German Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Berlin International Gaming. BIG, it is ShoWTime. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Streamer Zone. It is Geralt. Here we go. Were there multiple streams during HomeStory Cup? I can't remember. There were 2 English streams. There was the main stream, and there was us. We were the B stream, and then other language streams. So only 2 English streams, and then there was, of course, like a Spanish stream, a Portuguese stream, a French stream, German stream. All the other languages, for the most part, were covered. Korean stream, of course. This recast is good for those that missed out on some matchups. So this is a replay cast covering games that were never casted. So specifically at the time, because it was only 2 English streams, there were games that were just never broadcasted in English. So that is what we are covering here. Just to reiterate once again, some of these games may have been casted by some of the other languages, like in French or in Italian, for example, but not in English. We go. So again, it is a shame. It is a shame that despite the fact that you know, HomeStory Cup is a big event. There were only 2 streams going on at the time, so because of that, there were a lot of matches that were left uncasted. Bit of a feels bad, man. But you know, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Try refresh. Ooh, as we do see Geralt setting up this time for a proxy. So ShoWTime once again, Gate, Cybercore into Stargate, into Expansion. He's going for a more economic opener. Geralt setting up for a 2-gate into a 1-base all-in. So let's go. We'll see if ShoWTime can survive, can defend, can set up. Yes. That is true. There was some latency issues at the time, which was unfortunate. Some infrastructure issues, I should say, at the venue. Was unfortunate. True. I mean, we didn't skip the lag at the time. There were a lot of delays, unfortunately, when it came to getting into some of these matches and into some of these series. There were a lot of pausing going on and a lot of downtime as a result. A lot of players were like switching out their PCs to try to fix issues that way. Yeah, it was definitely an unfortunate circumstance that was plaguing the live event. Unfortunate. True. Meanwhile, ShoWTime does open with the Oracle. Behind this is going to be the Void Ray follow-up. And Geralt is going to be reinforcing with the Stalkers. Going to try and break through here and now. Going for the Stalkers. He's going to get one. Up. Does 3 shot, but there we go. 1 Stalker goes down. There's 1 left. Void Ray just now popping out. And Geralt, he will clean up the Stalkers, but alas, can he deal with the Void Ray once it does arrive? This Void Ray does pop up. Shield battery isn't ready, but it will zone away these Stalkers. No, never mind. Geralt, he goes for the dive. He commits, takes it down. Oh, the Void Ray does fall, and ShoWTime, he doesn't have anything left. GG gets called. The shield battery finishes up 1 second too late, and Geralt ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Again, ShoWTime, he made the decision not to pop the NG overcharge. He was waiting for the second shield battery to finish, and I mean, I assumed that he'd be fine as well. I assumed that he had enough time to get that second shield battery up and running, but no, alas, 1 second too late. The Void Ray falls, and that's game. That's game then and there. There was just nothing left to defend. With that, Geralt does punish the greed of ShoWTime, and now we're going to the ace match. We're going to game 3. Let's go. Let us go. As we are getting into the ace match, it's going to be here. It's going to be on Frostline. Here we go. So getting into the ace match, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the favorite player in this series. We have the German Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Berlin International Gaming, being forced into the ace match. Can he bounce back? It is ShoWTime. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from Lena, Poland, representing Streamer Zone. It is Geralt. Go. Maybe it was on Indie. Yes, there were certain casters that were covering and following players. I know that Indie was following, of course, Geralt, players like Geralt, players like Spirits. I know that Cosmos, he was covering all of Kelazer's games, for example. El Cosmito. Of course. I think Divinesia was following Serral, of course. But here we go. As now we do have our 2-gate opener for the first time. Let's go. For those that are curious, Game 1 and Game 2, ShoWTime did open up gate into Cybercore, into an earlier expansion, you know, kind of asking to be all-in a way. This time, safe opener, or standard opener. 2-gate opener out of ShoWTime, 2-gate opener out of Geralt. So now we can settle in, and this also means that ShoWTime has the option to be aggressive himself. If he so chooses to, he can go for his own proxy instead. As I say that though, the second pylon has been placed, so far standard setup here out of both players, no proxy in sight. And then we can, of course, introduce us. Welcome one and all to Frostline. Frostline is one of the larger maps in the map pool, very exposed bases. The third and fourth base are very spread out, very far apart from each other. So it can be quite difficult keeping up in a longer game state, especially against Harass. But we'll see how our players will approach this. See how aggressive we intend to be. As both players are scouting, Geralt, he does lock the probe into the main, is going to hunt it down, and from here Geralt can freely expand. Meanwhile, Geralt, he will pylon block. Does get the pylon, will delay the expansion. Does get eyes on the initial Stalker. Oh, it's going to be a single unit opener. Stalker into expand. Meanwhile, double Stalker out of Geralt. You have my attention. Gonna be a Stargate before Nexus. And ShoWTime should be the first to expand. There we go, both players throwing down their Nexi. And Geralt does have a tech lead. And again, a big reason for this is because how late the expansion is for ShoWTime. Was meant to be earlier. Geralt poking in. Does poke forward. He wants a Stalker. Up. Shouldn't get it though. A little bit ambitious. Poking in. Takes a bit of hull damage. Hallucination moves out, and with that, ShoWTime should get eyes on the timing of the Nexus, and of course the timing of the tech, the Stargate. So ShoWTime, he does spot the Stargate. He does spot the Oracle. Back at home, should be setting up a shield battery, and should be getting ready. As the Oracle does move out, ShoWTime going to be opening up Robo. Very safe opener here out of ShoWTime. Robo into Immortals, into Observer as well. Observer's on the way. So ShoWTime playing very safe. ShoWTime did decide to skip the shield battery. He's going to try and defend with purely Stalker. And he is in position. The Oracle is forced back. Up. He gets a probe. Adapts a shade into the main. And with that, there's no wall of probes are going to be going down. Oh yeah, that should not have happened. Getting 3, getting 4 probe kills, getting up to 6. Oh my god. The Oracle will escape, and nicely done here by Geralt. Does slip away. And with that, Geralt does take a worker lead. So far, so good. ShoWTime doesn't really have any pushing power. The reason for this, as we'd mentioned, Robo Opener, this means no blink. There's no setup here for blink for ShoWTime. No Oracle Harass of his own. He's working on upgrades. +1 is on the way. Geralt across the map taking his own third. And is getting further ahead. Getting a third expansion and building up more probes. Blink is almost done for Geralt. And ShoWTime is stuck at home. Now, eventually he'll be able to break out. And the advantage that ShoWTime is going to have is going to be twofold. One, upgrades. Upgrades are in favor of ShoWTime. The other, the Immortals. Even if he's down in Stalkers with a heavy Immortal army, he can overcome that. And it can overwhelm. I'm referring a move out with 2, 3, 4 Immortals. Second Immortal's on the way. Extra gateways as well. No third expansion. Not yet. As ShoWTime is still building up. I mean, ShoWTime can't expand. If he tried to take a third base, Geralt, he's here to stop it. Speaking of, Geralt, he does find the army. Up, going for the Stalkers, gets 1. One Stalker goes down. He can try to pick up the sentries as well. But poking in, picks up another Stalker. Rotates over, confirms there is no expansion, there is no third. More gateways on the way. That's a lot of gates here on 2 bases. Borderline 2 base all in here from ShoWTime. Geralt is starting up his own Immortal production. He's building up. Oh. Nice force field though, catching out Geralt. And again, the Immortals, they can hold their own. Do hold their own. +2 is on the way. More gateways. Getting up to an 8-gate setup on 2 bases. Charge is almost done as well. It's going to be all or nothing for ShoWTime. Geralt, his own charge timing is going to be much later here. I do appreciate how active Geralt is being, though. Again, it's on Geralt to be active and to slow down the move out, to pick off any stray units, a Stalker, a Sentry here and there. ShoWTime, he sneaks out with that War Prism. Loaded up with charge lots. And we have seen ShoWTime pull Geralt apart previously in Game 1. Can he do it again? As the drop is coming. Bring into the main base. Geralt, he does have weapons available. Force a recall. And Geralt, he should defend. ShoWTime, he breaks out. Does move out across the map. Geralt, he's out of position. He won't be able to slow this down. Gonna try to catch some reinforcements. Catch the tail end of the army. Oh, running into the Zealots. Oh, God. One Stalker goes down. Nice pick off here by ShoWTime. Geralt, he's racing back. Shield Battery is just now on the way. Geralt is not completely ready for this. Throwing down stasis traps as well. And again, the supplies are in favor. Well, the army supplies in favor of ShoWTime. Geralt might have the better economy. And if the longer this goes on, the better it is for Geralt. But ShoWTime is going for the kill. He's trying to. Pulls away. Mortals, they catch another Stalker. Behind this, ShoWTime is going for a much later expansion. See what Geralt can pull off. Charge is now done. Geralt's rushing into disruptors once again. I mean, it's his go-to. Bay's on the way. Oh, nice kiting so far. Drags the army into a stasis. Stasis goes off on the Zealots. He comes in with a surround. Or at least he tries to. Nice force fields from ShoWTime. But the Immortals are going down one after the other. He gets one. He's going to get 2. At least he's trying to. Up. Barely not able to target it down. There we go. Second Immortal falls. Shield by putting in a lot of work, and Geralt, it looks like he should have enough. He's cleaning up the army. Stasis does run out, though. And without that stasis, ShoWTime is gaining ground. Pushing further in. Forcing Geralt back. That's a lot of charge lots, and Stalkers, they struggle. The boys are being pulled into Archons. Oh my god. Archon shots go off. Probes are going down. Getting 5 workers so far. Geralt, he backs off. Again, Geralt defending with purely Stalker. Doing what he can. Nice positioning. Making use of the choke point. Trying to get on top of those Archons. Oh, the juggling though. The control. One Archon goes down. And we can see Geralt trying to come in from behind, but it looks like ShoWTime, he has enough. He breaks the third, getting to the mineral line, forcing back the Stalkers. And again, the third base was just for show. Just 2 base all in here from ShoWTime. And he is overwhelming. There's barely any Stalkers left. The mineral line goes down, and ShoWTime can just snowball from here. GG gets called. ShoWTime will take the series at 2-1, taking down Geralt. GG. Whew. Oh my god. GG, well played. Was a close one, was very tense, going all the way to the ace match. Again, ShoWTime was forced into a 2-base all-in, and a very pivotal moment there was that ShoWTime, if you remember, he forced a recall. If you remember, he went for a War Prism drop into the main, and the drop didn't actually get a lot of damage done. but it wasn't about getting damage done. It was about distracting Geralt and forcing a response out of him. He recalled some of his army back home, and if you remember, he didn't just recall, his stalkers also backed off as well, his main army, and that meant that he wasn't there to slow down the push, to pick away at sentries, to pick away at stalkers. If you remember, he rotated back around and he ran into the zealots, which was not ideal for Geralt, so he wasn't able to just keep up with the move out, and with that he had a late response back at home as well. He had less time to set up static defense, and ShoWTime snowballed from there. There were some nice moments for Geralt, especially with the stasis trap, but it was only one stasis, only just the one stasis going off. Likewise, we didn't point it out at the time, but we had some really nice force fields out of ShoWTime. When he pushed towards the third base, he completely force fielded the natural, and the immortals of Geralt, they weren't able to fight. They were stuck at the natural base. They weren't adding any DPS for a long time as well. So really nice setup there from ShoWTime. GG. GG, well played. Does claim the series and does take the win. And with that, that is going to lead us into our next match of the night, into some more German on German action. Up next is going to be ShoWTime versus Moja. Let's go. And again, Moja, I'm having a really hard time placing Moja as a player because he looks very impressive in HomeStory Cup 25, but I have not seen enough of Moja to really feel confident as to where he is and how he compares to some of these other players. So I look forward to seeing more of him here in this series, in this TVP. Let's go. Let us go. Give us more, Pat. Give us more. Next Spirit match. After this, we're going to be covering Spirit versus Kelazur. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. I really like your casting. Helps with learning games. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I do what I can. I do my best. As we're getting into our next series, into our third series of the night, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the red Protoss player, the German Protoss, representing Berlin International Gaming. It is ShoWTime. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the German Terran player, the blue Terran, currently teamless, but again, an amazing player in his own right, so getting a lot of fans at HomeStory Cup. It is Moja. We go. Just catching up in the chat. I was at HomeStory Cup as a VIP, oh sorry, 25 as a VIP, and I wanted to buy a last minute ticket, but then I had the flu and couldn't travel in time. I'm sorry to hear. I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, sometimes things like that do occur. It's but hopefully you'll be there for the next one. I would hope so. Hope so. It's all good. I'm sure at the next HomeStory Cup there won't be any issues either. It's one of those things where, if I remember correctly, I think Dennis was talking about how there was like some construction going on, and there was some just infrastructure issues going on at the time, like locally, I mean, in the area of TaKeTV and HomeStory Cup. So, you know, some issues just outside of their control, and I'm sure that won't occur next time. You know, I mean, HomeStory Cups in general have been a pretty smooth environment. You know, whether it's 25, 24, 20, I mean, onwards, right? The issues that they had at 26, I'm sure, is more isolated. But regardless, we're settling in. Settling in. Really, we have confirmation it was actually Slow-Run's fault. It was because he couldn't go. He sabotaged the venue. Confirmed. Kappa. As we have our tech of choice, going to be a Twilight Council opener out of ShoWTime. Meanwhile, Moja going for a Rax Expand economic opener here out of our Terran player, going for a later factory. As we settle in. Again, the bunker's on the way. This is to protect the CC, so if there was an earlier adept move out, then there are going to be Marines in a bunker to help defend, help fortify. Speaking of early adept, it does move out. So ShoWTime's goal here is to try and delay the expansion, but the bunker is done in time, and Moja, he should be fine. The CC does complete. ShoWTime confirms, threatens a shade into the main, and Moja so far is keeping up. Does wall off. Does raise the depots. Does raise the depots in time. Likewise, Moja getting across the map. So you get the recall back home as we get one probe kill. One worker goes down. And the question becomes, how many gateways? How many gateways is ShoWTime going to be working with? He has Blink, that is true, but it's going to be 2 gate Blink, 3 gate Blink, or 4 gate Blink Stalker. So far, we have a 3rd gateway on the way, so a very safe opener out of ShoWTime should be 3 gate Blink into an expansion. This is designed to, defend against early game aggression, to have a presence on the map. And the 3rd base has been taken. So not too aggressive here by ShoWTime. Just a safe opener overall. Will be secure. Moja behind this, just building up. Getting to his 1-1-1, moving out with a Widowmine drop. Now, when it comes to this Widowmine drop, there's only 2 Widowmines. This isn't really too committed. It isn't really designed to get damage done. More than anything, this is designed to scout. To scout and to get a read on what's going on. Checking the vision of Moja, he doesn't really know. He hasn't seen the tech of choice. For all he knows, it could be a robo opener. Wouldn't be a Stargate at this point, but there could be a bigger commitment here on 2 bases. So ideally, Moja wants to get a read on the production. Has already spotted the 3rd Nexus. And does boost it. Does boost into the mineral line, gets eyes on the setup. Mind shot's going off, gets 1 probe so far. Just the 1. And Moja does not get into the main. It's going to be forced back. At least Moja does keep the medevac alive. And behind this, embracing more bio-heavy composition. I don't really know if Moja is really one to embrace mech. Not quite a player like Gumiho or Ryung, for example, where they are willing to mix in mech even against Protoss. But not here. As ShoWTime is establishing his 3rd base, is going to be staying on 3 gates, and he's going to be taking instead, going into a Bay and a Forge +1 into Disruptor production. Sorry, into Colossus production, I meant to say. My mind is still wide for that previous PvP. But Colossus is going to be the take of choice from ShoWTime. And this is a little bit old school. I'll be honest, we don't often see fast disruptors quite like this anymore. Especially in the current patch, in the current meta, we've been seeing a lot more Storm play, especially because of the NG overcharge. We've seen a lot of Storm play. We've seen a lot of players that delay their splash damage and go into a higher gateway count and go into earlier charge and just go for like a Swarm toss style into eventually Storm as well. So I do appreciate this. I mean, ShoWTime has always been one to embrace a more Colossus heavy composition, even in PvZ. Something more secure. And the first Colossus is halfway done. It's halfway done at this point. Behind this, Moja getting his 3rd. Is building up, so no crazy 2 base all in. The Observer is spotted, is going to go down, but at least ShoWTime gets eyes on the 3rd base. So he knows that there's no all in coming. He knows that Moja is going to be expanding. He should still move out with his army, that is true, but it's not going to be as committed. And ShoWTime, he does get eyes on the army. Will attempt to slow it down. Comes Moja's expansion. And Moja now he has his upgrades. He has Stim, Combat Shields, +1. Once again gets spotted by the hallucination. ShoWTime is aware. He has his Colossi. Moja, he does leave his tanks back at home, just moving up with his bio. And just a really nice spread here by ShoWTime. He has hallucinations all over the place. Making sure that if Moja does commit to an engage or does push in, that ShoWTime sees it. Just clearing up the Spotter Marines, replacing them with Spotter Zealots. Again, so important that you keep up with the rotations. And Moja is going for a split push. Double drop towards the left. Hallucinations, they do scat the main army. ShoWTime is aware. He's built up to 3 Colossi. Moja meeting up with his main army as well, does reinforce. Once again, he gets spotted. Once again, is spotted. And again, we saw a similar dynamic between Moja and Maru as well, where it's just all about positional play, keeping up with the army. Raven does distract. But the army gets cleaned up. Moja going for a Doom Drop. As he moves out, he does spot the Zealot run by, and I mean, they spot each other. ShoWTime going for a drop. Moja is distracted. And now ShoWTime, he has been able to survive. He gets his 4th base uncontested. The 4th base is getting fully operational. Now getting into double disruptor production, diversifying his splash damage. So important here that you don't just rely on one form, on just Colossus, for example. So disruptors are on the way. Zealot drop into the main. Once again, just distracting Moja. ShoWTime soon to max out. Moja not too far behind himself, now working on his own 4th CC. Ghost Academy is on the way. We should soon be seeing some Viking production as well to help deal with those Colossi. As both armies are building up. Raven gets caught out. Rough movement there from Moja. ShoWTime, he is maxed out. He's on how many disruptors? He's on 3, soon to be 5. Soon to be 5 disruptors. And ShoWTime, he has quite a death pool of an army. That's that's terrifying. Is moving out, and unfortunately this entire time Moja has been posturing, but there's been no harass. Outside of the auto-start harass, of course, there's been no drop play, no damage to the economy of ShoWTime, nothing keeping him busy. And a Protoss set has been left untouched. I mean, that's a terrifying thing. It does feel like coming in towards this maxed out army, this maxed out game state, Moja has been a little bit too passive. I mean, he has been trying to be active, but ShoWTime has been able to keep up time and time again. As Moja is going for a split push. Ghosts have arrived. No Vikings, which is a little bit concerning. It's very bio heavy. ShoWTime, he keeps up, he responds. EMPs do land. ShoWTime, he zones the army away. Likewise here towards the north as well. Nice force fields. Shutting down the bio. Moja's being forced back. Oh, the disruptors though. Oh. Okay, ShoWTime, he pulls away. Does save the disruptors. Warp Prism back into the main. Massive warp in of Zealots and DTs. He's going for the tech. He's going for the main. ShoWTime gathering his army together, getting ready for his own move out. And he's pushing. We could end up in a weird base trade. Uh-oh. ShoWTime moves out. As he moves out, Moja moves in, and the 4th base is going to fall, and we're going for the base trade. We commit. And Moja is going to be able to bring down 2 bases at once. The 4th base does fall, the 5th as well under fire. ShoWTime can always recall, but he commits as well. He's pushing in, going for the 3rd. Likewise, Moja racing into the main, going for the Doom Drop. Let's go. 3rd base goes down. All the bases are going to be on fire. And can Moja buy time? As he's just shooting through these buildings. Depowers the Robos. Ideally would like to snipe that Dark Shrine. The Dark Shrine can be a problem, as there are DTs and scans are going to be required. Moja pushing in, ShoWTime as well. Nova goes up. Oh my god, massive connection. EMP does land. And again, ShoWTime will eventually break in. Both players are supply blocked. Oh, Zealous, sorry, the DTs are gonna force some more in. No more Dark Templar. And Moja, the mass migration has arrived. We have to get the hell out of the main. Lifts up every single building. Likewise, pushing into the main base as well. Are there any DTs? Some of them do get morphed in. They're here. Top left. Top left, we have some Dark Templar, Warlock Cannons, and Shield Batteries. You could argue that Moja should have gotten behind the middle line a little bit sooner to snipe this tech. The DTs can become a problem. Are there any scans? Oh. Okay, one planetary. There's a planetary, there's no orbital. Just double checking it, there is no orbital, so no scans are available. There are EMPs, true. As ShoWTime is still on 2 bases, DTs are gonna waddle in. And again, no scans. Has to make sure not to EMP himself. There we go, he does boost the Medivacs away. As a reminder, EMPs can do friendly fire, so if he wasn't too careful, he would have EMP'd his own army. As he does move forward. God, that's still a lot of disruptors, and ShoWTime, he has a base mining. He has a full base mining here. Ay, ay, ay. And Moja, he can't engage. Not into all these disruptors. It's not going to happen. Not like this. If only Moja was aware of the expansion, I mean. Because it's a massive... Oh no, the buildings are dying. Moja floated into the corner. He's going to lose everything to the cannons, to the army. Moja running out of buildings. Diving in, Nova goes off, massive connection, and GG gets called. ShoWTime, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. An intense game state. I mean, again, the main army was something that Moja could never fight. He could never fight the main army of ShoWTime. Once he got up to, what was it, 7 disruptors and 3 colossi, it was a crazy main army, just could not be pushed into. So the base trade was the best option for Moja. Unfortunately, even though he was able to get into a lot of bases real quick, he wasn't able to get on top of the northern bases. He wasn't aware of top left. If he was aware a little bit sooner, if he had gone for those fringe bases earlier, then maybe the base trade could have gone in his favor, but alas, it took him too long to head in that direction, and ShoWTime was very well set up. Very well set up in the end. GG, well played. And with that, ShoWTime takes a lead. Oh. And now we're getting into game number 2. And here we go, we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the German Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Berlin International Gaming, BIG, leading the series 1-0, 1 game away from taking it, from advancing on. It is ShoWTime. Taking the series over Moja, I mean. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player, also from the land of Germany. It is Moja. Here we go. As welcome one and all to Neon Violet Square, the first time we're casting this here so far in our broadcast of the group stage. One of the more vetoed maps in the map pool, so I'm a little bit surprised that we're going to be embracing it here between these 2 players. Neon Violet Square is the largest map in the map pool. It's a very large map, a lot of bases, very wide open as well, a lot of expansions here, and we do often see a lot of late game on Neon Violet Square. It can be relatively easy, or at least easier than some of these other maps, to get your natural, your third, your fourth base, your pocket base up and running. Even the goal base can be secured in a longer game state, so often we do see players avoid this map. Likewise, center of the map can be quite awkward to engage into as well because of the Pachinko machine. These squares can mess up some pathing. There are certain units that cannot actually go through this. Depending on their size, they cannot traverse through those squares. Could be a factor coming into this. But for now, we are going to be settling in. as Moja does open up with a single gas geyser going for a CC on the low ground. So economic opener here out of Moja. I mean, very often we see a lot of greed on Neon Violet Square. We see a lot of greed, a lot of fast expansions, a lot of fast third bases as well. Again, this is a map that you can cut corners. You can cut a lot of corners here on Neon Violet Square, and we'll see how many we do go for. If we were casting Bjorn, for example, Bjorn, he does love going for a third CC before second, like just racks expand into third CC. Like, if Bjorn can get away with it, he will. Maru follows suit as well. In this matchup, I mean. We'll see what Moja goes for. So now the Reaper does move out. And yep, there it is, third CC before second racks. Moja doing his best Bjorn impression. It's going to be on location as well, so even greedier than you would typically see. But it is going to be at the pocket base. So this pocket base has less minerals, it does have less resources, so not as impactful as a regular expansion, but still greed nonetheless. And again, this is what we expect on Neon Violet Square. It's a game of greed here. Cut all the corners. Now, typically, a 3cc opener leads into a 3 rack. So 3cc, 3 rack should be the build of choice from Moja. Working towards a very marine heavy, very bio heavy composition. Bunkers on the way to be safe. There's that second racks, and we should soon be seeing a third racks into stim, into fire. ShoWTime comes in with hallucination, does confirm the missing factory, and will get eyes on the CC as well. So ShoWTime is fully aware of how greedy Moja is being, and the question becomes, can ShoWTime punish this greed? As a reminder, this map, the reason why we often see builds like this on Neon Violet Square is because it is easier to get away with this. We'll see if ShoWTime can punish. For now, though, it looks like he's expanding. Okay, so he sees that his opponent's being greedy, so he expands himself. ShoWTime is not setting up for an all-in. Behind this, we have a two gates here at the natural, third gateway in the main, so 3-gate blink into a third. This is the same build that ShoWTime went for in the last game. So 3-gate blink into a third base. We could see ShoWTime stay on a low gateway count and take extra gases and go for a faster Robo into a faster Bay into faster Colossus production. See how many corners ShoWTime does cut. As Moja is going to be stuck at home until stim finishes. Like, he's going to be going for, I would imagine, a stim timing. Because this is later as well, he may just wait for his medevacs. There we go. Factories on the way into Starport, into medevac production. Hallucination confirms the 3 racks. ShoWTime just making sure that Moja isn't going for anything too crazy. Don't blame him. Stalkers are being somewhat active. There's the Robo on the way. And remember last game, I mean, we saw, I guess, a greedy build anyway by ShoWTime, if you recall. It was a third base into the gases, into Robo, into Bay, into +1 and Forge. Speaking of, yep, there's the Forge for +1. And we should soon be seeing the Bay. So ShoWTime is being quite greedy, very tech heavy. Yep, there's the Bay, now being thrown down. ShoWTime, he's intentionally skipping warp-ins. Like, this is his army. 4 Stalkers. Like, this is all he has. He's skipping warp-ins to afford all this tech. And again, he's under no danger. Like, right, there's nothing to really threaten ShoWTime. He can afford to skip warp-ins. He can afford to focus on all these upgrades. As Moja is still stuck at home. Okay, now here comes the move out. He is spotted. And it's going to be on ShoWTime to do this. So slow it down, picking up a Marine here and there. Pick up a Marauder if at all possible. Oh, the Marauder's getting low. He gets it. Massive pickoff. 1 Marauder goes down. And we spoke about it. It's very awkward to actually push through these squares. Through the pachinko machine, Pappy. And Moja backs off. He just backs off, throws down extra Raxes, and he doesn't move out. And that means that ShoWTime, he has gotten away with all of this, with all this greed. And now finally we get a gateway explosion. And now finally ShoWTime will start warping in. But I mean, fun fact, he did not warp in as a response to the move out. Didn't flinch. He's just taking a 4th. Again, this is the army. Like 4 Stalkers. Ay, ay, ay. So again, intentionally skipping warp-ins. Just no warp-ins, just focusing on the second Forge, all the gateways, 4th Nexus, all the upgrades. Like, Moja has double the army supply, but he can't really make use of it. And the supplies are close, but the soup does lie, right? The soup doesn't really tell the story here of what's happening. The fact that because ShoWTime is cutting all these corners, soon he will stop. Soon he will be able to make use of all these upgrades, of all this production. And ShoWTime is going to skyrocket ahead in the mid game. And that's what this is all about. Once the 4th base gets operational. Moja likewise throwing down his own 4th CC. Dark Shrine on the way as well. Let's go. Dark Shrine's on the way. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to ShoWTime throwing down like a fleet beacon and a Stargates and work towards like a mothership and Sky Toss, right? Like that's what we expect to see on Neon Violet Square. Just tech into Sky Toss because why not? I mean, ShoWTime could have. Like, again, Moja has not scattered at all. If ShoWTime wanted to, he could have skipped, he could have delayed Colossus production, gone straight for Sky Toss instead, and Moja would have no idea. And ShoWTime would have gotten away with it. I mean, he's still getting away with greed, but again, could have gotten away with more. As Moja's now moving out, we have the Ghost Academy behind this. Now it's going to be pushing. And at this point, as we did mention, now that the 4th base is fully operational for ShoWTime, now he's focusing on Warpins. Now he's building up his army. He's got 3 Colossi, 2nd Robos on the way. That's going to be for Disruptor production. And we'll see what Moja can get done. Going for a split push. Zealot does spot the initial army. You see ShoWTime in between the bases. And again, it's very easy to rotate between this natural location and the 3rd. Moja can threaten a drop, but yeah, ShoWTime is in the main. He's ready for the drop play. This low ground base is exposed. And rotating between the 4th and the 3rd is a little bit more awkward. But Moja pushes in, ShoWTime's ready. And we'll zone away. And just like that, Moja is deflected. ShoWTime gets away with his 5th. Moja backing off. Now reinforcing with Ghosts. Still no Vikings. Vikings are something that we did miss out on last game as well. It's very bio heavy. And it can be very difficult pushing into 3 Colossi without Vikings. I mean, EMPs are good, but yo, they're not that good. Oh, going for the Doom Drop. Let's go. He's going to be diving into the main. ShoWTime somewhat in position. He scans, sees the army, drops further back. ShoWTime is keeping up. Yeah, it does blink over. Outside raining down. The rest of the army does respond. And Moja is not really going to get much done here. He has to pick up, he has to get the hell out of here. At the same time, pushing it towards the 5th. Is getting damaged. EMP's the Nexus, no recall. And the base, it looks like it will go down. Nice pickup. Again, the Doom Drop was a distraction. Takes down the base and retreats. Some nice moves here out of Moja. Getting into 3-3. His 4th is up, now getting his own 5th base. And now the pressure is on ShoWTime. And he is counterattacking. ShoWTime, he is moving out. Battling everything across the map. Moja, he races back home. And can the main army be dealt with? I mean, we spoke about this. The advantage of Moja's army currently is how mobile it is. As we saw, right, with drop play, with all these sims, with all these dives, it's a very flexible army. But in a head-on fight, I have to favor ShoWTime. Just because there's no backbone to this army. There's no Vikings, there's no Liberators. We'll see as ShoWTime's only moving out. Okay, I was going to say only with 2 Colossi, but the 3rd one has arrived. Disruptors are here. Both armies are maxed. ShoWTime dropping into the main. Ooh, is deflected. Is denied. Pushing into a concave, not going to be easy. Where are the Novas? Popping up micro here out of ShoWTime. Nice force fields. He's still holding on to those Novas. And Nova's going to be going off. Nice control, nice target firing on the Disruptor. Up on the Novas. Ooh, they do connect. They take down the Ghost. Reinforcements have arrived. ShoWTime, he still maintains his position here. Getting the goal behind this. Working towards the goal base. ShoWTime doesn't keep pushing. The planetary does hold its own. And a Viking production has begun for Moja. Let's go! Vikings are on the way. ShoWTime now with the greater economy, you can afford things like this. Just mass DT warp-ins. There is a turret, thankfully, but with enough DTs, I mean, they don't care about your turrets. They don't care about your planetary. They will bring it down. That's how many? That's 10. 10 Dark Templar. Nice EMP on the Stalkers. Again, ShoWTime distracting the main army. DTs, they blink in, and it takes 1, 2, 3 swipes, and the base goes down. Disruptors are left behind. Not bad. 2 Disruptors go down. 3 Disruptors go down. Disruptors, they rally, and Moja, he will take this fight. Takes down 4 Disruptors. Collapses on the Colossus. Bit of miscontrol here out of ShoWTime. And Moja, he needs to keep going from here. Does take a supply lead. Did lose a 5th base behind this. DTs are cleaned up. And we have to keep going. Send it, Papi. Send it. Keep going. As Moja, he has double the army supply. ShoWTime, he got caught out. His robot army was reset. And Moja, he's got to go. Behind this, trying to re-expand. Going for the 6th. And Moja, he will kill the 6th base, but really this is just buying time. It's just buying time for ShoWTime. As he's got more warp-ins. He has 2 Disruptors. Moja, he still has this army supply lead. Nice EMP. Up. Never goes up. Doesn't connect. Nice target firing here out of Moja. Force the kite back. Nova does graze the army. 2 more Disruptors have arrived. Disruptors are here. The ghosts are getting caught out. The brutal pickups. Moja, he's trying to break through, but pushing into all these Disruptors, not easy. Novas, they just keep popping up. And nice trades here with the Zelch. Just a more efficient trade here by ShoWTime. Forcing the army back. ShoWTime chasing him down. Oh my god. The Nova's brutal. The Nova doesn't care about the squares fight. They just go right through. Oh my god. And now the Viking count has been reset. No more Vikings. Colossal production has begun. Doom drop into the main. ShoWTime not quite in position. But DTs warp in. Be buying time. Cannons as well. Yeah, they're dropping, not achieving too much damage. Has to back up. And ShoWTime instead expands towards the south. Still getting a 6th expansion. 6 bases on the way. And ShoWTime is recovered. He has recovered. He has bounced back. There was a time where he was down 40 supply. But with the help of those Disruptors, he bought enough time. And that advantage that Moja once had, it isn't really there anymore. And now he's down to 59 SCVs. Does have his base back up and running, and he will deny the stick. Nice rotation. Will deny the expansion. Containing ShoWTime. Oh god. Nice pickoffs. Catching the medevacs. Medevacs do get picked up. Likewise, Moja defends against the Prism. Had plenty of turrets in position. And ideally, Moja wants to fight out of the open like this. Wants to set up that concave. Is trying to. Last ShoWTime, he dives in. Takes the mean piece to the face. That's 5 Disruptors. Oh my god, massive connections. Takes out the Ghost. Zones away the Bio. Still better trades for ShoWTime. And Moja's not able to punish. Not able to get on top of those Disruptors. We get some decent EMPs, but alas, ShoWTime, he will overwhelm, forcing the army back. Moja just racing back to his planetary. And ShoWTime, he can keep pushing and just reinforce on front lines. Double expanding, going for the golds, going for the southern base as well. ShoWTime has map control. He's maxed out. And he's pushing in. And just raining down on the 4th base. Oh, sorry, 5th base even. Getting 5 SCVs. Oh, God. Nova's going up. I mean, Moje's up against the wall. He can barely kite back. He's a good. He's mainly got a Marauder-based army. That's a lot of Marauders. And he has to commit. He goes for the dive. Gets up with the Stalkers. A lot of Stalkers are going down. But the Colossus, they just rain down from behind. No Vikings. And again, it's just consistent splash damage here on the Bio Army. Nice control. Saves the Colossus. And over time, Moja, he's just bleeding out too much. Bleeding out far too much here. Every time the Colossus, they just get so much damage on this army. We have 2 more Colossi on the way. Once again, just zoning the army back. Nova's getting into the mineral line. 8 SCVs go down. And Moji can't even mine from his 5th. No mining. We're just trying to push in, getting back into Viking production. They can just be targeted down. And the Vikings, they fall one after the other. Oh, the Novas are brutal. They don't one-shot Marauders, but they don't need to. I mean, that's what the Colossus are for. So you just knock everything down. Moja kiting back. Once again, having rough trades. And GG gets called as he just runs out of steam, and ShoWTime will take the series 2-0, taking down Moja. GG. GG, well played. ShoWTime does overwhelm, but a shout out to Moja because this was still a very... I mean, there were definitely some good moments from Moja, and there were some close moments as well. Referring back to the greed of ShoWTime, did get away with a lot. He was the first to max out. He was abusing his opponent, but then we had a really rough engagement for ShoWTime. If you remember, it was at the on the low ground. On the low ground, when ShoWTime, he rallied 4 disruptors into the army. It was just one after the other. All 4 disruptors went down. The Colossus were left exposed. There were no Novas to zone the army away. That was the moment that Moja, he took a fight. He took a fight. He reset the Robo army, and he had a 40 supply lead. It was a big moment for Moja. Unfortunately, by the time he counterattacked, and again, a big reason for this is the size of the map. We mentioned before, coming into this, Neon Violet Square is the largest map in the map pool. It takes a long time to get across the map. By the time he did get across, there were 2 disruptors. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that was enough to just zone the army away. There was a choke point coming into that low ground expansion, so he couldn't really break through. If you remember, he tried to, he couldn't. He went for a Doom Drop into the main instead. Likewise, there was Static Defense, there was Sim City. The Doom Drop was too awkward, and ShoWTime, he just bought enough time to actually make use of his bank and rebuild. He was able to rebuild, and that moment of vulnerability had come and gone. But there was a chance there definitely for Moja where he could potentially break through and get a base. You could also argue that maybe Moja wasted time at the gold. If you remember, when he counterattacked, he went for the 6th expansion, which was the gold base, and he did kill it. But the gold base didn't really matter, right? Like, it wasn't really an important base. So he did spend time killing it, and that gave ShoWTime more time to warp in and to build up those disruptors. You could argue that maybe Moja should have had a little bit more urgency to instead ignore the 6th base, ignore the gold, and go for a more important expansion first, and then fall back to the gold and get both, or at least try and get both. So yeah, you can definitely make an argument that did take a little bit too long to move out, to get across, to get any critical damage. With that, GG. GG, well played. ShoWTime does take the series, and that leads us into our next match. Oh boy. Here we go. As we are now halfway through the broadcast. We're now halfway through. We can take a moment here to go over the bracket, or to go over the matches themselves, and to catch up on what has been going on. Here we go. We have those updates here again. Here tonight, we're covering Group B. We're covering the matches that never got casted, at least in English. And we have our results coming in. Maru did take down Moja 2-0. ShoWTime took down Geralt 2-1, but all the way to the ace match. Again, a very close series between the two players. We just wrapped up with ShoWTime versus Moja. Again, there was some nice moments for Moja as well. We even had a crazy base trade in game 1, and we have 2 matches left. We have 2 series remaining. We have Spirit versus Kelazur and Serral versus Jumi. Oh boy. Live at the time, we did actually cast most of Kelazur's games live. There were a lot of Kelazur's matches were covered by us, and I believe a lot of Maru's matches were covered by the mainstream. So we do have what was left over here available to us. And again, Spirit vs. Kelazur and a TBT is coming up next. Likewise, at the end of the night, so at the end of the broadcast, we have Serral vs. Jumi. That is a match from Group D. Group D was a little bit different. When we were covering Group D live, the matches in Group D, the series were very short series. So very often we would wrap up our best of 3 and have enough time to catch another match as well. So we actually casted twice as much when we covered Group D, and we covered most of the matches. There's only 2 matches that we didn't cover. Serral vs. Jumi is one of them. The other was Ryung vs. Jumi. So there were only 2 matches that didn't get casted in Group D, which was Ryung vs. Jumi and Serral vs. Jumi. We casted Ryung vs. Jumi last night, Serral vs. Jumi today. So that is the plan. That is the plan. So we are just catching up on all those matches. For now, we are going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we will have the finale, the final 2 series of the broadcast. That is the plan. So take this time to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, drain your disruptors, massage your marines, and be back soon for some more StarCraft. 2 more matches. See you soon. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the HomeStory Cup 26 replay cast of Group B. Ooh, we just wrapped up with the majority of the group, but we have 2 matches left. 2 series remaining here. Up next, we have a Terran versus Terran, a TVT matchup between Spirit and Kelazar. Let's go. Diego and Piotr are going to be facing off here before us. Again, we did cover most of Kelazar's matches live at the time, and I believe the main stream was mainly focused on Spirit at the time as well, but we still have this TVT ahead of us here. I'm ready. I'm excited. Diego Kelazar, he has been a lot less active. He hasn't really been competing too much. He hasn't been playing in too many tournaments, is what I will say. So it's always really hard to gauge his skill. He's a very good player, don't get me wrong, especially when he's in form, but that's the question. How in form is Kelazar, and how does he compare to a player of the caliber of Spirit? We're here to find out. We are here to find out. Let's go. Typically, Kelazar, he's a little more aggressive in these matchups. He's a little more aggressive, a little more assertive. I'm always going to remember, his matches against Maru, just cheesing and all-in the hell out of him in WTL, in World Team League, for example. Kelazar can be a very dynamic player, but we'll see. We'll see what he brings to the table here, as game 1 is going to be on ley lines. Let's go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the blue Terran. It is Kelazar. Diego. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Polish Terran player, the red Terran. Representing himself, currently teamless, it is Spirit. Let us go. Also, as we get into this, a big shout out to Blaker Dudes in the chat. God, baby God, thank you so much. I do apologize for missing it at the time, but thank you so much for the $20 donation to the $20 tip. Thank you so much for the support. Happy New Year, papi. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Currently we don't actually have notifications on our overlays at the moment for this cast, just because at the time, of course, we were focusing this was the scene collection that we were using to cast HomeStory Cup live, so that's why there was no alert, there was no notification. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation. We appreciate it. We appreciate it, papi. Gracias. As always. Always appreciate the support. As we are settling into our TVT, so far we do have our double gas opener, double gas out of Kelazar. Meanwhile, economic opener out of Spirit, which is what we expect. Spirit, he's usually the more greedy, more economic player, and again, Kelazar is usually taking the role of the aggressor. Spirit is going to be going for the CC on the low ground, and Kelazar is going to be opening up with a faster factory. And we'll see what this leads into. This can lead into additional Reaper Hellion aggression early on. We can see Kelazar going to an early tank production, into an early tank drop. Kelazar has options. We'll see. And now there's that command center for Spirit. He pokes in. Spirit, he confirms the opener. He is aware. Spirit is going to take the role of the defender. So players do settle in. Serral versus Jimmy was the other group. Yes, as we did mention, Group D, as we did explain, Group D at the time, there were a lot of short matches during that group, so we were able to cast twice as much as usual. So we actually covered most of the matches in Group D live at the time, and only 2 matches went uncasted. Serral versus Jimmy being one of them. So that is why that is also in today's broadcast. Just because there aren't enough matches to have just our own dedicated Group D cast. Not enough matches. Now Spirit, he does dance with Kelazar. Poking in. Likewise, Kelazar's goal here is to try to get on top of that CC or try to gain some value. Alas, he does not. Does not quite break through. Bunker's now on the way for Spirit. Oh, but the bunker is a little bit delayed. Kelazar reinforcing with a second Reaper. He gets a Marine. Takes out one Marine. Can he get the Reaper? Ooh, not quite. It's going to be stoned away. Second Marine has arrived. Again, Kelazar trying to abuse how late this bunker is, but alas, I don't think he'll be able to. It's going to be close to a third. Sorry, a Hellion now arrives as well. Going for the Marines. Oh. Yeah, Hellion volley going to be going off. Marine goes down. Bunker is still not done. Second Marine going to be falling. Reaper as well. But Spirit, he will defend. He defends just in time. Reinforces with that Hellion. Spirit, he holds. Does cost him how much? It was 3 Marines and a Reaper, but he does maintain his economy. SCVs are safe and sound. Mules are safe and sound as well. Spirit, he holds. Whew. Oh boy. Spirit does hold on. Kelzer backs off, taking the much later expansion. Kelzer, he is behind in the worker count. Again, he was hoping to get some economic damage to catch back up, but alas was unable to. And now he's going to be following up with some drop play. Interesting. Cyclones on the way. Medevac as well. Kelzer is soon going to move out with quite a kitchen sink of an army here. But as he moves out to catch up in the economy, fast third CC. Very fast third base here out of Kelzer. So he is not going all in. But still looking for some damage. As here we go, the drop is moving out. 4 Marines on a Cyclone. Back at home, Spirit building up his tank count. His tank production has begun. Kelzer just now going for his own add-on swap. Oh, looks like there was a little bit of latency going on. Again, something that was plaguing the event at the time. So far, Kelzer, he's deflected. Spirit, he's in position. Oh. Kelzer dropping back in. Oh, gets a Marine. Nice control so far. Breaking the lock-on. Does break the lock-on. 1 Marine goes down. Trading 1 for 1. 2 for 1. Kelzer is hoping to try to snipe that deeper, but alas, he will not be able to, and Spirit defends. Slightly more efficient trade there for Spirit. Getting his own third base. Kelzer just being as active as he can, trying to keep Spirit busy while he expands. As that third base is now done for Kelzer. As Spirit gets across. Taking down 2 SCVs. 3 SCVs. Late reaction here to Kelzer. 4 SCVs go down. And Spirit, he maintains a massive economic advantage here. 45 to 35 workers. Spirit, he has a 10 worker lead. Oh, at least he had one. Kelzer getting to the mineral line. Picking up 3 workers, not bad. 3 SCVs go down. Kelzer gets the hell out of there. As Order to Harass continues. Kelzer will chase. But meanwhile, disable and the medevac, full medevac goes down. Massive pick off here for Spirit. Takes down the medevac. Now he can look to expand. Getting his own third. Nice catch. As the dust settles, we're even on tanks, even on Ravens. Third base now on location for Kelzer. Again, this is designed to try to catch him back in this game, catch him back up. Spirit now landing his own, and he's moving out. He's now moving out, looking to try to deny the third. And Kelzer, he has no map presence, he doesn't see the move out, doesn't see Spirit coming. So Kelzer is going to be out of position, it's going to be caught out. We'll have 1 tank ready. The rest of the army is here at the natural. And Spirit, he has resource disable. He can't shut this tank down. I mean, even without it, he's within range of the CC. Tank shot's going off. And Kelzer is going to have to lift. He's going to be stuck on 2 bases, hailing into the mineral line. Getting 2 SCVs. Or potentially 1. Maybe none. Nice defense. The single worker goes down. Oh my god. Yeah, the tank shots are brutal. Nice counter disable. Vikings, they zone Spirit away, and Spirit, he doesn't take his chances. He gets the hell out of here. He just pulls back. Doesn't want to lose his advantage. Kelzer moving out with his own counterattack. Both players have their Vikings. Spirit, leading out that Cyclone. A bit of a misread here out of Spirit, as Kelzer is going for the third. And Spirit, his tanks are lagging behind. That's disable. First tank should be going down. Kelzer pushing towards the third. And he's actually going straight for the mineral line. SVs are going down. Spirit, he's not going to be able to get out of. He's not going to be able to get out of here. Yeah, he collapses in. Mass disable. Catches out 3 of those tanks. Order starts being thrown down. And it looks like Spirit, he should have enough. I say that the disables are about to run out. It's close. They do barely run out. Vikings, they land. And Spirit, he will clean this up. It was not an easy trade, though. He lost 13 SCVs in the process. 13 workers go down. Kelzer takes the lead. But Kelzer, he did lose all of his Ravens. That is concerning. The Raven count was reset for the Blue Terran, and Spirit, he still has 2. And again, you've seen just how impactful Ravens can be in these fights, whether it's with Disable or with the Order Tarts as well. So that is going to be a big advantage here for Spirit. There's Ravens, the Vikings as well. Liberators are on the way, as Spirit does have air control. And even though Kelzer does have the better economy, will he be able to make use of it? He needs more time. He needs more time to build back up. Okay, Spirit taking a more defensive stance. Sieging up here at his 3rd. Kelzer moving out with his drop play. So far, Kelzer doing well for himself. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on Kelzer. He did do a lot of damage. Spirit going for the Liberator Harass. Libs towards the natural. Kelzer dropping as well. Trying to get a read on the army. Both players backing off. We do have a bit of a lull here. Just drop play for the time being. Boosting into the main. Bold move out of Kelzer. It's not going to be worth it. Full medevac goes down. Ay, ay, ay. And Kelzer is going to be cleaned up. Pushing towards a 3rd. Spirit's in position. As he does stem in, gets a tank. Trades Marines for a tank. Better trading for Spirit. Final medevac goes down. And it looks like the Liberators didn't really achieve too much here. Kelzer, he did respond in time. Libs did fall. Still a very tense back and forth here between Spirit and Kelzer. Again, the big factor, at least in my eyes, are going to be those Ravens. And the air control. Kelzer, he has 0 Vikings. So the air control is going to be another big factor. Kelzer's advantage is his Marine count. He's got a lot of Marines. A lot of bio. Spirit, he does siege in. He does siege up. First tank is going to go down. First, the second tank as well. But Kelzer is going to be forced back. Medevacs are falling. There's not enough bio here from Spirit. He cannot push in. Yeah, Spirit, he's not gaining any ground. Not enough bio, not enough Marines. Just tank Viking. Kelzer trying to catch reinforcements. And he will find a medevac. Oh, ooh, barely does get it. Nice snipe. Good positional play there by Kelzer. But Spirit, he's within range of the mineral line. SCV is going down. He's still within range of the base. The Vikings ain't land. There's no support. And Spirit, he gets 2 tanks. Massive pickoffs. 2 tanks go down. Kelzer trying to set up a surround. As he bleeds out more Marines. Reinforcements have arrived. Kelzer actually going for a counterattack instead. Does miss the main army. He can go straight for the mineral line. Yeah, he stems in. Spirit, he's racing back home. And the boys are being pulled. A lot of SCVs are going to be going down. Not a bad counterattack there from Kelzer, but he is down in army supply. Okay, now Spirit has the Marine lead. 52 Marines. That's a lot of man with gun. Stems in. Takes down the tank. One tank goes down. Spirit rotating over. Vikings now in favor of Kelzer. Takes down the lib. At least tries to. Boys are being pulled. Kelzer getting desperate. So far the siege line is unbroken. Spirit is so close to getting on top of that 3rd. Quite able to. Double expanding behind this. Morphing in its planetary. Getting his 5th base as well. So again, another tank goes down. Kelzer does have the Mass Marine. He needs to make use of it though, as the base is getting very low. And Kelzer, I think this is wide open enough for him to just stim in. It's not easy pushing into 4 tanks, but it is going to be possible here. Either that or counterattack. Back at home, there's not much to defend. And Kelzer has a massive army. He has to make use of it. Kelzer is maxing out. Liberator's harassing across the map. And the longer this goes on, the better it is going to be for Spirit as he's catching up his supply. Sims in, gets a tank. He gets one, he gets almost, he does get 2. And now here comes a counterattack. Kelzer, he breaks out, he breaks free, he takes out every single tank. And now he needs to push in, or he needs to push out across the map. Send it, Pappy, send it. As Kelzer, he's up 40 supply. He breaks out, Mass Marine, let's go. Spirit, he abandons his base. Liberator's thrusting across the map. SCVs are going down. Kelzer pushing in. 3-3 is just now finishing up for Kelzer. We'll have those upgrades. And again, it's not pretty pushing into the siege line, but I mean, Kelzer, he has the supply to work with. He can make use of it. For now, just backs off. He backs off. He's going for drop play. Doesn't like his chances pushing into this. He's at least 9 mining time. And setting up for a counterattack. But again, this is allowing Spirit to catch up in supply. Spirit is building up more tanks, more Vikings. Is closing that gap. The supply lead that Kelzer has, I mean, it's slipping away. We'll get a command center. Not bad. Likewise, Spirit is now catching up in upgrades. Now getting into 3-3. So the upgrades are evening up. Spirit likewise is in position. Catching up the Orions in. Oh my god! Kelzer, he gets caught on siege. Massive pick up here as Spirit, he will clean up every single tank. And in one fell swoop, Spirit, he takes a fight, takes a supply lead. Kelzer, he loses everything. And that may just be game, I'll be honest. Kelzer, he's down to 1 tank. He has 1 tank against 9. Not like this. Again, Kelzer caught with his pants down. And Spirit, now he can push in. He's going for the bases, going for the planetary. Kelzer, he won't be able to save it. Planetary goes down. Spirit, he can keep pushing. The Liberators are on the way. Again, most of the army for Kelzer is just pure Marine. Pushes forward, gets a couple of Vikings. Spirit gaining ground. Kelzer, he knows that he cannot push into this, so he's going for a major counterattack. I feel like we needed this far sooner as well. And there is potential. West really gets another tank. Kelzer stimming in. Denies the 3rd TC, but that is plenty to defend. Spirit, he does overextend. Taking a rough fight. Supplies are somewhat close. But again, very different armies. Oh, Kelzer setting up first round. He can clean this up. So again, Kelzer with Mass Marine, he has potential. He can dive. Trying to take more bases. Spirit, his reinforcements have not quite joined up with the main army. And I feel like Kelzer, he has to break this position before the reinforcements arrive. It might just be too late. Instead, Spirit, he collapses on Kelzer. Tanks are here. Does reinforce in time. Jesus, Kelzer heavily oversaturated. Needs more bases. The one lib achieving so much. Yeah, Spirit, he's now within range of the planetary. This planetary, it's gonna go down. Likewise, CCs are denied. And Kelzer is just getting picked apart. Once again, going for a massive counterattack. Again, he cannot fight the main army. And back at home, there's only one tank, so Kelzer, he could try to overwhelm. Now there's a second tank. They're unsieged. Spoke too soon, as the tanks, they do siege up in time. Kelzer rotating over. He will come across the CC. That is the main. The main has floated over. And the main goes down. Not bad. Meanwhile, Spirit, he breaks out, catches some of the tanks. $18 SCVs full. Spirit, he has 10 tanks over to the 5 of Kelzer. Leading another tank. Every tank counts. Spirit, he barely doesn't get noticed by Kelzer. He can try to go for the CC. Stims in. Kelzer is not too far behind. And the base, it looks like it might just be saved. Kelzer doesn't fully engage though. The base goes down. Kelzer fought with half his army. Ay, ay, ay. Kelzer will clean this up. But, I mean, he already lost the base. Like, the damage has been done. The base went down. Kelzer had an awkward engagement. Oh. As we did have a pause. Spirit pushing in. There, we did have some latency. It's all good. Spirit, he's the first to siege. Oh no! Kelzer! Oh, the move command. The tanks are all going to go down. GG gets called. That was a very rough game for the... Very rough way for the game to end. And GG gets called. Spirit, he does take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. You could argue that potentially, especially towards the end there, maybe latency was a factor, as Kelzer, he did run into or did walk into the main army. But despite that, GG, we did have a back and forth. There were definitely good moments for Kelzer as well. I mean, we spoke about it. There was that moment where Kelzer, he was max, he was up, what, 30, almost 40 supply. But he wasn't able to make use of the army. That's my biggest criticism there, is that Kelzer, despite having a maxed out army, he had to trade, he had to be active, he had to either push in, go for drop play, trade in some way, shape or form. Otherwise, Spirit would be able to bounce back, and he did. Spirit, he was able to stabilize, able to secure his own army, build up his tank count, and it all came to a head when Kelzer was caught unsieged. We saw that big moment towards the left-hand side outside of the 4th base, where Kelzer was on the low ground, he was caught unsieged, and his tank count was completely reset. That was the moment when Kelzer went down to 1 tank, and when Spirit went up to, was it 12? 9 or 12 tanks. And he never quite let go of that lead. And Kelzer, who's just heavily reliant on purely a marine army. GG. GG, well played with that. Spirit does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. The pants, no. True. Yo, shout out to Dave Test in the chat for the 300 bits. Thank you so much. Year of the Duck. Thank you, puppy. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great new year yourself. Thank you so much for the bits. So we're getting into game 2. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the Polish Terran player. The blue Terran leading the series 1-0. It is Spirit. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the red Terran. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. It is a Kellezer. The pants, no. Don't like this. I'm telling you, SC2 players have to invest into either belts or suspenders. Like, they need something. Aye. It just keeps happening. Happened twice in that game for Kellezer. Not like this. As we are going to be settling in. As a reminder, last game, Spirit did open up with a faster expansion. This time, double gas. Okay, double gas opener out of Spirit instead, so he's going to be going for earlier tech. This time a much more aggressive, much more assertive opener here by Spirit, and Kellezer is going to be going for the faster expansion. So the roles have been reversed, and we have Kellezer being the defender, Spirit being the aggressor. And we'll see what kind of opener we end up into. Again, this could be for a Reactor Reaper Hellion. This could lead into earlier tank production, into a tank drop, earlier Banshee production as well. Spirit does have options. Last game, Kellezer followed this up with Reaper Hellion into a Cyclone drop, if you recall, with mixed success. I mean, I say mixed success, he did lose the full medevac, so it was not too great. Now Kellezer, again, is expanding. Spirit does confirm. And again, the pressure is going to be on Spirit to try to punish the greed of Kellezer. Or punish the open. As we do have Spirit getting into continued Reaper production. No add-on, no reactor. Is moving out, and I believe... Oh! Kellezer did shoot first. Oh! The SCV does come in to help support, to help buffer. Very clutch engage. Kellezer does back off, is the first to regen. And he's setting up with his bunker. Behind the Spirit following this up with Reaper Hellion production, now that the CC on the low ground. Spirit is going to be reinforcing, and thankfully Kellezer, he will have a bunker. The bunker is on the way. So Kellezer is securing himself. Spirit has gained map control. Now with these Reapers, he could try to bypass the natural and go straight into the main. Let's see what direction he does head in. Likewise, Kellezer, he does read this well. He's in position. Denies the Reapers. So far, so good. Kellezer, he's holding. So far, he is holding on. Getting into his own tank production. Likewise, Spirit getting to his own 1-1-1. The tank has already begun for Spirit. So much earlier tank production for the blue Terran. Does he go for the medevac? Do we go for the drop? Yep, there it is. Medevac is on the way, so it is going to be a tank drop opener here out of Spirit. We were curious what kind of aggressive build he would embrace, and we have confirmation. It's going to be the tank drop. Meanwhile, Kellezer playing safe himself, going into an earlier Cyclone, followed by the Viking. This will help defend against something like a Banshee base opener. Early Banshees, early drop play. So really safe setup here by Kellezer. As the first tank has arrived. And Spirit, he will move out across the map. Here comes the tank drop. And with it, he does have a lot of potential. So he will boost across. Boost in, setting up outside, hoping to catch some of the army. Tank shot goes up, gets a Raven, gets a Reaper. Reaper goes down, Marines as well, within range of the depot. So far, good damage here by Spirit. The Viking zones away the medevac, but alas, Spirit, he's on the high ground. He's in the main. Takes down the depot, now going for the add-on. Doesn't quite get it. The reactor does survive. Nice damage nonetheless. He does retreat. Oof. We'll lose the medevac. But good damage nonetheless, as long as he does keep that tank alive. Yeah, the auto turret will zone. And behind this, Kelzer going for a 2-base all-in. We'll get into that as he does break out, does catch a tank. Tank goes down, Raven as well. Very nice pickoffs here by Kelzer. And he does throw down the second starport. He's got one starport in the main, a second starport here on the natural, a 2-starport build on 2 bases. This should be into mass Viking production. He has Ravens initially into Viking. So very committed, going for the add-on swap, going for the reactor, I would imagine. Oh, Reaper does scout, does get eyes on both starports. Big scout here for Spirit. Oh, he sees everything. Does see what's going on. And the goal here with Mass Viking, of course, is to gain air control. To gain air control, and that does allow your heavier tank count to just overwhelm the ground army. That is the plan, at least, for Kelzer. Okay, third TC is now on the way. I mean, he got scouted, right? He got scouted, so it makes sense for Kelzer to now expand. Oh, throwing down a... This is mech. Okay. Throwing down a second factory, and Kelzer, he is going to pivot away from this, and he is going to be embracing mech instead. Spirit at the same time trying to catch out the army in the center of the map. Kelzer, he will rotate around. He does avoid the main force. Going to mass lib. Jeez, 3 libs at a time. Spirit, he will miss the rotation. Kelzer making his way towards the natural. Scans, sees the army is missing. And he's going for it. Spirit, he's racing back home. Tanks through siege. Viking's going to be zoned away. Kelzer pushing into the mineral line. We'll get some SCVs. At 6 SCVs going down. Zone away the Ravens as well. And remember, those Liberators are on the way. And Kelzer, he does not push into the natural. Doesn't try it. More libs on the way. Then back into Viking production. Kelzer rotating around. I mean, he has a lot of potential with this army. Scans confirms the bio. I forgot we can... I think that's the first time I've seen a salvage on the sensor tower, but true. Liberators do siege up. Do you get the mass disable? Okay, libs are going to be shut down. But the counter auto turrets here from Kelzer does maintain the position for at least a little bit longer. Liberators are being cleaned up. There's 1 lib left. And Spirit, he's holding. He is holding on. His Vikings are being overwhelmed. He has to back up. Kelzer getting within range of the CC, and Spirit, he pulls the boys. Yeah, the boys are being pulled, gets on top of the tanks. Tanks are going to be going down. There's no support. There's not enough support here for Kelzer. And he will lose every single tank. Oh my god, that's what, 4 tanks going down. And can he get another tank? I mean, he's down to 2 Marines. Does get it. Another tank goes down. But at a cost of 14 SCVs. With that, the tank count gets reset. Kelzer does escape with his Ravens. And he's getting a 3rd base. The game will continue. And again, Kelzer, he still maintains that economic advantage. 4th base on the way, building up more tanks. He may have lost a lot of tanks, but he's going purely tank Viking. There's no Hellions, there's no Cyclones. It is a risky composition to go for, just because you are vulnerable to Marines, to these big engagements. As there is no support for the tanks, they have to support themselves. We'll see if Kelzer can get away with it. Spirit dropping into the main. Kelzer doesn't quite deny it. Going for the production. And Marines, they sim into the mineral line. And again, how do we defend against this? We have some auto turrets, thankfully. Tank is getting in position as well. But workers are falling left and right. 15 SCVs go down. A very mobile army here for Kelzer. As Vikings are falling. That's 15 SCV kills, and Kelzer, that economic lead that he once had, not there anymore. Does fall behind in workers. Spirit, he of course confirms mech. Now getting into Marauder production. Kelzer, he's setting up. Is setting up a blue flame now on the way, so Kelzer finally is going to be going into some Hellion production to help support his tanks. Let's go. Getting his fourth. And the question becomes, can Spirit try to abuse these bases and pull Kelzer apart? And can he try to slow down the army here of Kelzer before he maxes out with mech? Getting his own fourth on location. I mean, these are the moves you can go for as the bio player. You have map control, so you can cut corners, expand on location, even double expand. More starports on the way. Spirit getting ready for the late game. That'll be to fight for air control and get into Mass Raven. Potentially even Mass BC in a longer game as well. So seeing all these starports tells us that Spirit, he's not going all in. He's not being aggressive. He's going to back off, and we're building up. We're going to the late game. Oh boy. Let's go. I mean, there's something about Ultra Love, right? Ultra Love is a very defensive map. It's very difficult to try to break the third and break the fourth, so it makes sense. So both players will just back off and build up. Double armory now on the way for Kelzer, so now he's going to be working his own upgrades, scans. He gets eyes on all the starports. He's aware that should trigger Kelzer to get into his own starport production as well. Speaking of starport production, Thor's on the way. That will help. Thor production has begun, and we should be maxing out. Both armies are going to max. More command centers, more CCs. I was curious if he was going to go for earlier Viking, but no. I mean, he is going for Vikings, but going for early Raven as well. I mean, Mass Raven is the go-to here in TBT. So already working on those Ravens. Kelzer being somewhat active with the Hellions. Blue Flame is done. But Spirit, he keeps up. Getting Azazel Nagas. Taking top left as well. And bottom right. Just mass expanding. That's going to be 2 more starports. That's going to be a 5 starport setup here from Spirit. Kelzer, his own starports are a little bit later. That's going to be just now the 3rd starport for Kelzer. Again, TBT does turn into just mass, like Sky Terran. It's just all about air control towards the end. As Kelzer, he is moving out. Spirit not quite ready for this. At the same time, going for his own counter drop. Disables a tank, drops in. Oh, and Kelzer is out of position. He commits. He's going for the base trade. He's going to lose 1 base, loses the entire mineral line, but he pushes in. Gets his own disable. Massive tank blow is going off. The boys are being pulled. The tanks are going to be going down. And Serral will take the better engagement here. The Mass Viking does nothing. The lands are late. And Kelzer, he loses everything. The entire army crumbles. GG gets called. And Spirit, he will take this series 2-0, taking down Kelzer. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Kelzer forced into committing there. I don't think he really intended to commit and go into like a pseudo base trade, but he was completely out of position. Again, this is the downside of this kind of army. This is also why typically when we're playing this kind of mech style, we wait until we're maxed out and fully secure and fully set up. Kelzer, he went for an earlier move out, and with such an immobile army, he had no option to turn around. He had no option to come back home and defend, so he was forced to commit, and yeah, he just didn't quite have enough there to support his army. A really good decision for Spirit to pull the boys. Despite having less tanks, he pulled the boys, got on top of the tanks, and if you remember, if you saw, it was a late reaction for Kelzer to drop the Vikings, right? He had a lot of supply in the Vikings, and they were doing nothing in the sky. They were killing, you know, some of the Ravens, of course, and killing some of the medevacs, but they needed to land sooner to protect the tanks. That was like 10 tanks. There were a lot of tanks there. There were like 10 tanks for Kelzer, but no support. No support. GG, well played. Or not enough support, I should say. With that, Spirit will take the 2-0. And we are now going to be getting ready here for our final series of the night. We wrapped up with Group B, and now we're going to be dipping our toes into Group D, as up next we have a Zerg versus Protoss. Zerg does exist. We've been casting a lot of Terran, a lot of Protoss here tonight, but we have a Zerg versus Protoss matchup here, Serral versus Jumi. Let's go. I'm ready for some nonsense. Let's go. Again, we just featured Jumi in a best of 9 show match on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, coming into New Year's Day. If you were here for it, it was a banger of a series. We had a lot of fun with Jumi versus Eba in a best of 9. But now we're going to be featuring Jumi versus Serral in a best of 3. Oh boy. And I don't know if I'm ready for this. Let's go. Let us go. Kelzer forgot his upgrades. No, when you play mech like that, you do typically, I mean, there's 2 ways, but the style that Kelzer was going for, he intentionally delayed his upgrades in favor of a higher tank count, where you prioritize your production, you prioritize your army instead into later upgrades. There are different variations of mech where you actually go for earlier armories. You go for like a double armory, like 1-1 timing instead, a much more decisive style, which we do see a little bit more prevalent in TVZ, for example. I want to say that Gumiho does that from time to time. But that was intentional. It was intentional. And here we go. We're getting into our next series. We're getting into our first and only Zerg matchup here of the night. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Frostline, we have the German Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumi. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Again, coming into this, Serral is the heavy favorite, but Jumi has the home field advantage. You know, he has no excuse when it comes to jet lag or anything like that. Jumi, he just jumped on his bike, rode over, and has arrived here, and he's ready for some HomeStory Cup action. Let's go, Papi, let's go. Likewise, Jumi's typically very aggressive. He's very unorthodox in this matchup as well. I mean, hey, we saw that in the best of 9. Jumi, he's very quick to embrace these earlier Twilight Councils, earlier robo-based builds, just more aggressive and more unorthodox styles. But we'll see what he goes for here on Frostline, because Frostline is one of the larger maps in the map. It is a much larger map, much more difficult to be aggressive early on 2 bases, so I would expect to see a more standard opener here out of Jumi. I'm assuming Cybercore into Stargate, into Oracle, into a 3rd base. If Jumi does deviate, then we will point it out, and we'll make a little noise, as we always do. Meanwhile, from the side of Serral, just going to be going into his own opener himself, Hatch Gas Pool, droning on up, saturating his natural, getting to his 3rd base. We often see a lot of Protoss players struggle to defend their 4th base on this map, just because of how isolated they are from each other, referring to the 3rd and the 4th. So we have seen a lot of aggressive play in the mid game from the Zerg side of things, with a lot of success as well. A lot of success. For now, Jumi going to be opening up with the Stargate. Stargate opener in the main, which is what we expected, but we'll see if he does throw down earlier tech. He has the option here as he expands to throw down an earlier Twilight Council to go into Glaive Adepts, to go for an early Twilight Council into like a 3-base 8-gate Blink Stalker all in, to even throw down a Flea Beacon into Sky Toss. He has options, if you want to be crazy. So far, so good. So we're just scouting for proxies, don't blame him. Meanwhile, already a deviation, it's going to be a Void Ray opener, not Oracle. Okay, you have my attention. Now, I'm a little bit torn about this decision. Typically, when you open Void Ray, you keep the starports or the Stargates further back. You keep it further back to make it more difficult to scout the follow-up. Here, it's right at the edge of the main, so it can be a little bit more difficult to hide the follow-up tech, to hide whether or not you are going for, you know, an additional Void Ray or into faster Sky Toss. We'll see how Jumi does follow this up, as he's hunting down the first Overlord, but there's a second Overlord going into the main. As Jumi, he is still looking for the Overlords. We'll come across one. Void Ray is revealed. Jumi will expand. Ooh, and that is a Twilight Council before the third. So very early Twilight Council out of Jumi. I would imagine this should be Glaive Adepts, should be Glaives, but there are some other niche builds that we could go for instead. Technically, this could be something crazy like a fast Robo into like Temple Archives, into Archons, but this should be Glaives here from Jumi. Second Overlord goes down. The other option this could be is to go into faster blink into a very Blinkstalker aggressive build, but here comes the Gateway Explosion. And we'll see what Jumi's got for us. Back at home, Serral droning. Save the Roachhorn. Oh, and this is what I mean about out of Jumi here. A very niche build going to a charge-based all-in, not Glaives. Something you do not see very often, as that's a massive Gateway Explosion. Getting up to 6, getting up to 8 gates. Basically, this third is a fake out. It's basically a fake third. Serral scouts, he will punish the Adept, gets us around. Adept goes down, Void Ray out of position. Uh-oh. And again, thankfully, Serral, he isn't cutting too many corners. We'll soon have access here to his own Roach production. Void Ray races back home, third base does survive. Charges on the way, it's going to be all or nothing for Jumi. Just mass charge lot. Oracle's trying to keep Serral busy. Oh, the Oracle does go down. Massive pickup. Serral, if he goes in, if he sees the lack of saturation, that's a tell. I'm sure he did notice. I'm sure he got a glimpse. 0 probes here at the third. Just now going to be saturating. Zealots are building up. And Jumi, he's moving out. Here we go. Just warping in as many Zealots as he can. Behind this, Serral going into Muta play. Bold move out of Serral. As Jumi moves out, Serral, I mean, he just confirms the all-in by sniping all these probes. I mean, there were barely any workers to begin with. And one way or another, the game is about to end. Either Jumi kills Serral or he dies trying. Warping in 8 Zealots at a time. And here comes the mass Zealot. The Swarm. Peels off towards the third base. Likewise engaging with the main army. Some clutch transfuse. Queens are going down. And Zealots, they do back off. They do reinforce. And Jumi, he's breaking through. He's getting on top of the Roaches. Roaches are going down. And can he get into the mineral line? Boy's being pulled away. Void Ray does fall. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for Serral. Roaches are falling, but there's 9 more Roaches in production. And we need more Zealots. Meanwhile, the third base was killed. The third base did go down. Boys are being pulled. And Serral, he's barely holding on. May have lost all of his queens. But the Roaches have built up. Serral, he still has the kite. We do see some of those Roaches being overwhelmed. Jumi, he's trading well, but he needs more. He needs more damage. He has to kill Serral. So far, he's killed 11 drones. Not bad. Ah, but he's running out of steam. Yeah, he's running out of Zealots. 4 Zealots left. It barely is not enough. Jumi going for the... Let's go! Going for the force field. Does lock the army into the main. Catches a queen. Has another force field. But there are reinforcements coming in. And again, Jumi just doesn't have enough. Cute move, though. I appreciate it. Sentries go down. No more force fields. And Serral, he breaks out. He does break out. GG gets called. And Serral takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. But shout out to Jumi again to go for an unorthodox 2-base all-in. Again, basically was a fake third, but Serral was able to confirm. If you remember, Serral threw down his Roachhorn at the 420 mark, 425-ish. So a bit of a earlier, safer Roachhorn timing out of Serral. Again, recognizes something was a little bit wrong, something was amiss. Playing it safe. And even though Serral, even though he was losing queens, even though he was losing an army, again, time was on his side. All you had to do was just slow down the push, just buy more time for more warp-ins or more morphs of roaches, more waves, and did eventually survive. GG. GG, well played. And that takes us into game number 2. Gonna be loading into ley lines. Here we go. Getting into our next game. GT Jimmy, I respect it. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, again, Jimmy, he was trading well. He was trading well for himself. Just barely didn't have enough. Catching out a lot of queens, a lot of roaches. He got 11 drones. It was good damage, but he was all in, right? Like, he needed to do more. And here we go. We're getting into our next game, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the German Protoss player representing Streamer Zone. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is Jimmy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Here we go. And again, when it comes to, I mean, Serral is the heavy favorite, so going for these kind of more unorthodox all-ins from the side of Jimmy makes sense, right? Like, there's very few players out there that can, with confidence, go into a macro game or a standard game against Serral. So Jimmy, he's fully aware of that. His goal here, his hope, is to try to catch Serral off guard. Now, in game 1, we did have that 2-base all-in. Here, coming into game 2, the question becomes, does Jimmy try something more unorthodox once again? Does he go for another cheese? Does he go for another all-in? Or, after game 1, is it out of his system, and does he attempt to get into a more standard macro game against Serral? We'll see. We shall see. For now, hatch gas pool, standard open out of Serral. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. And really, our eyes are going to be on the tech of choice from Jimmy. Now, after game 1, I would not be opposed to Jimmy opening up Stargate into Void Ray once again, but having a different follow-up. Void Ray openers, they can go a lot of different ways. They can go the way of Sky Toss, into a Fleet Beacon, into Tempest Rush. They can lead into Glaive Depths, into an economic game, into a third base. They can lead into early Blink, into a 3-base all-in. They can go into even Mass Phoenix even, which is more of a niche build as well. But I mean, Mass Phoenix into Charge Ult's also an option. We'll see. Once again, the pylon gets thrown down right at the edge of the main, so it should be another Stargate opener. Typically, if you want a high tech, this is not the place for it. If it was like a Twilight Council opener, usually you'd hide it further back behind the main or behind the natural, so it should be the initial Stargate here from Jimmy. And there it is. But what initial unit is it going to be? Oracle, Phoenix, or Void Ray? They all have their place. Some more standard than others, of course. But I'm not opposed to Jimmy even just opening up Void Ray, even if he does intend to go for a standard game, just to at least shroud himself in a bit of uncertainty, and at least, you know, give Serral a second to pause and play safe. But now Serral poking in with the Overlord. Likewise, Serral is scouting for proxies, checks the northern and southern locations, making sure there's nothing crazy going on. Once again, Void Ray. I do like this. So once again, it's going to be another Void Ray opener, and just because it's a Void Ray does not mean it's going to be the same build. And ideally, this keeps Serral in the dark. Now, upon losing this first Overlord, Serral should once again go for an early Roach Warren, just because he doesn't really know what's going on, just to play safe. And we'll see what that leads into. Shroud of Ambiguity, that's what I was going for. Not uncertainty. You get what I mean. As Jimmy is setting up for his third expansion. Overlord goes down once again. Once again, that was a Twilight Council before the third base. So this looks like the same builds, I'll be honest. So far, it does look very similar. Ooh, that is going to be an earlier Robo, though. Interesting. Now, as a reminder, last game, this led into a 2-base all-in with 8 gateways, with a lack of gases at the natural. This time, I'm leaning towards a lower gateway count into Glaive Depths. I'm leaning towards that. Meanwhile, that's Overlord speed on the way. Interesting. Now, if this was a standard game, I would assume this was for a German taxi, for like a queen all-in across the map, but based on the game state, this could just be for scouting information. It could just be scouting from Serral. As, I mean, he has no lair, right? There is no lair. Early Roach Warren, 4-minute 30 Roach Warren timing, early Overlord speed, and this is just the scouts. I mean, he has no lair, so he can't morph in drop lords to begin with. It's the same build. It is the same build. Let's go. It's going to be another 8-gate all-in. Jimmy, I mean, what are the odds, right? Like, Serral, I'm sure he's thinking, there's no way he does the same all-in 2 games in a row, right? No, he'd have to be crazy to do that. Well, he is crazy. Let's go. So it's going to be the same, essentially 2 base 8-gate all-in here. Mass charge lot out of Jumi. Serral is investing in other resources. You can see here spores are on the way just in case his DTs, just in case his Dark Templar. I mean, the Oracle is out. Was a later Roachworn, Overlord Speed, and with Overlord Speed, Serral scouts, he confirms. He gets eyes on the tech, he gets eyes on the move out. Serral is aware of what's going on, but he did have to spend resources on Overlord Speed and less on Roaches, and he's getting ready. Spine Crawlers on the way. This time his Roach production is delayed, so it makes sense. Spine Crawlers are going to be necessary this time. I'm loving the SimCity here, walling off those Spine Crawlers. Zealots are going to have a hard time getting surrounded. And here they come. Jimmy pushing in. Serral kiting back. Massing on more Roaches. Spine Crawlers are almost done. One Queen gets surrounded. Stasis gets baited out. And Jimmy's going to try to dive on the army. So far, Serral does focus on the Void Ray. Void Ray does fall. Lings a race back home. But this time, Jimmy, he has a better economy. He's got 6 workers here at the 3rd. So Jimmy has more resources to warp in. Jumping into the main. Depth Shades into the main base as well. But Jimmy, he's banking. He's got 900 minerals. He has to spend his money. Where are the warp-ins? He's making probes. He's making workers back at home. A warp-in back at home as well. And Serral defense. Oh, Jimmy throwing down pylons. Make sure he doesn't get supply blocked. But Serral, he has defended. He has deflected. And Jimmy has to make a choice here. Does he try to macro out of this? I mean, he's not really set up for a longer game, I'll be honest. Okay, still working in more Zealots. Okay, so right now, Jimmy, he's still completely all in. He just got scattered, by the way. There was a spotted Ling. He's still all in. He's hoping that Serral over drones. He's hoping that Serral feels safe enough to drone, and then Jimmy can come in for the kill. Alas, Serral, he did drone up to 64. That is 3 base saturation. But Serral is still focusing on Roach production. He deflects the War Prism. Reinforcements are delayed. Jimmy's still being active. And Jimmy, he's headed towards the 4th. How about Serral's in position? And Jimmy's just being outscaled at this point. He's just being outscaled. The game is lasting too long. I mean, I appreciate Jimmy trying to catch him out. Nice force fields. But the warp-in is denied. And Serral breaks through. GG gets called as Jimmy. He runs out of steam. There's nothing left. And Serral will take the series 2-0. GG. GG. Serral will take it. But a shout out to Jimmy here. Again, I appreciate the thought process behind the build here. It was pretty close in game 1, but doing the same build 2 games in a row is a very crazy thing to do. Again, the hope there for Jimmy was that Serral would be too greedy, right? Was that Serral would believe that it would be a much more macro-oriented build instead, that Serral would over-drone, that he would take a 4th base, and Serral would be caught out being too greedy. Alas, that was not the case. Serral was playing it very safe, and more importantly, because of that because of the Overlord Scout with Overlord Speed, he confirmed. He confirmed what was happening, threw down the Spine Crawlers, built up more Roaches. Serral was perfectly safe and sound. Very well set up back at home. GG. GG, well played. Jimmy just trying to mind game Serral, and again, I appreciate the mind games, but alas, did not quite work out in the end, and Serral will claim the series. Will claim it in the end. Congratulations. And again, Serral, he was favored coming into this, but a shout out to Jimmy here for trying to trip him up. I appreciate it. And with that, that is going to be us wrapping up for the morning. Let's go. Let us go, as we just wrapped up our final series of the night. 5 best of 3s. 5 best of 3s here for Group B. We had Maru versus Moja, ShoWTime and Geralt, ShoWTime and Moja, Spirit and Kelzer, and Serral versus Jumi. Some really intense games. I mean, especially ShoWTime versus Geralt to me was one of the highlights here. Kelzer versus Spirit, I can see that going either way. Moja versus ShoWTime was very entertaining as well. I will say that Maru Moja and Serral Jumi were a little bit more one-sided in their matches, but a lot of these others could have gone either way. GG. GG, well played. Do recommend checking out the VODs if you do have time. And just to reiterate once again, this is us going over some of the matches that were never broadcasted. For those that are curious, HomeStory Cup was at the start of December. We were live at the time. We were the B stream for HomeStory Cup alongside the main stream, but there were a lot of matches in the group stage that never got casted, or at least never got casted in English, just because there were only 2 streams going on and there were 3 matches happening at once. So do the math, right? So around a third of the matches, were not broadcasted, so we're catching up on those matches here and now. Ideally, I would have liked to have done these replay casts in December, earlier, closer to the event itself, but our schedule was too busy. December, we were jam-packed, full of StarCraft. There was just no room for anything else. We had a lot of casting in December. Here in January is similar, but we had a couple of free days. Like yesterday. Yesterday, we covered Group A. Yesterday, January 1st, we had no other casting, so, you know, prime slot for a replay cast this morning as well. But tonight, we have a live broadcast or live matches. Tonight, we're going to be back with the League Cup. What exactly is that? We do have another big major event going on. There is a $7,000 prize pool, $7,000 prize pool for an end-of-year event for the League Cup, and qualifiers are going on this week. We just had the Asia qualifier a couple of days ago. I think it was over the weekend. We had the Asia qualifier, and we had Solar, Shin, and Gumiho. Solar, Shin, and Gumiho, they qualified for the main event. Tonight is going to be the European/American qualifier. So our eyes are going to be on those big names. There were some invites as well. Actually, you know what? I can just show you. We have the technology. Hold on. It's crazy, I know. Oh my god. Hold on. We have the technology here to go over the event. Bam, there we go. Okay, so we have the League Cup, or League Cup even, that is going on, and these are the invited players. We have Hero, Jeshi, and Max for Protoss. We have Clem and Oliveira, and now Gumiho, as he made it through the qualifier for Terran. And we have our Zerg players, Dark, Raynor, Rogue, Serral, Shin, and Solar for Zerg. And we still have 2 more qualifiers. We have the European/Americas region qualifier, where 3 players will make it through, and then we have the global qualifier as well, where 1 player will make it through. So tonight, in how many hours time? In around 9? Yeah, in 9 hours time, we're going to be live on this channel with the EU/NA qualifier, and in a couple of days is going to be the global qualifier. So we have 2 qualifiers left for this event, and again, tonight is EU/NA. 9 hours. Mark your calendars, set your alarms. 9 hours time, we're going to be live here. 3 players make it through, so it's going to be a bit of a longer event. There is going to be a bronze match for that final qualifying spot, and we're going to be keeping our eye on those big names, on those big players. We're expecting players like Estrella, Trigger, ShoWTime, Big Gabe, Lambo, Spirit, a Laser, and many others. They're all going to be facing off here in this qualifier. Best of luck to all those players, and we'll be here live on the channel. And again, we'll be here for the global qualifier as well, and we'll be casting the main event that is going to be taking place, I believe, next week. I believe next week is going to be the main event. So quite a busy month for us, covering League Cup and also Masters Coliseum, and also all of the regular events as well. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft is coming up. It's coming up this month. Oh boy, it's again it's busy January for us. February, at least currently, February looks a little bit lighter. I mean, typically, if I remember correctly, February is usually IM, right? Like IM Katowice is like February into March sort of like time period. But, you know, currently we're still waiting for announcements, waiting to hear what is going to be happening with StarCraft, with EWC. It would be really, I'll be honest, it'd be really weird to have an IEM Katowice without StarCraft. I mean, it's been a part of the event for so long. So, we all expect an announcement this month. I think we're all expecting an announcement here in January. But we'll see. We'll see when that announcement does occur, as we're nearing up on I Am Katowice, you know? So we're going to need something soon. we're going to need an announcement soon, Pat. Yeah. Should see one. Just catching up in the chat. Classic for you, my time, as usual. Watch, yeah, it's a rough time for the Americas region, for sure. It is a rough time. So yeah, we do expect an announcement momentarily. I was fortunate enough to be a part of I Am Katowice last year. Was fortunate enough to be there. When was it? I Am Katowice last year was the 8th of January. From the 8th of January to the 11th. Sorry, 8th of February. My mistake. 8th of February to the 11th of February. So early Feb. So again, we're kind of nearing up on that. We're nearing up on that, baby. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens when it comes to IEM, when it comes to Katowice. Otherwise, hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. Hope you all were able to enjoy the StarCraft. And again, we're going to be back here in 9 hours. Hope you all have a great new year as well. Hope you all have a great new year. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, if you want to help support the CranKy Ducklings, you can do so. You can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. If you want to follow us, you can see the links in the chat. So you can follow us if you wish. You can also support us via Patreon as well. We do have our own Patreon page, and we do have, of course, ways to support us. All the money that we make on Patreon goes towards our tournaments. It goes towards Sparkling Tuna Cup, Sea Duckling Open, and Masters One Open as well. So here we go. So we have, say you can support us there if you wish. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. I'm going to be heading off for now. This broadcast was a little bit shorter, so you know what? It's time to smudge. It's time to smudge. I'm going to sleep before the cast tonight, but I have a couple of hours to myself, so I'm going to be going live. Going to be going live on my own personal channel. It's time to ladder for a couple of hours. It's time to smudge. It's time to smudge. I'm very rusty, but may as well enjoy some StarCraft, enjoy some laddering. So if you want to tune in, you can of course join me over on light_VIP on Twitch. I'm going to be live there laddering for a couple of hours. Otherwise, we bid you adieu. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.